Chapter 49. Wan Qingshuang and Chou Yun looked at Su Yun in surprise as he got out of the car. They wanted to hear Su Yun's explanation as to why he had called Qin Wan and asked her to leave, but now he came back alone. Su Yun didn't say anything to them. Instead, he patted the 3 tigers of Nanqing on the shoulder and said, "Gather all the members of the Knife and Axe Gang and the 4th Wolf Gang. Tell them that this is a place they can't mess with." Yes. Dan Hongning was the first to nod his head in agreement. Su Yun had always been mysterious in his heart, but after seeing him in action today, he was completely convinced. Furthermore, Su Yun's small details had moved him even more. Su Yun had returned the 20,000 yuan that the 3 of them had paid for the membership card. He was very loyal and did not bully others. Kong Zhong looked at Chou Yun. This woman, who was like the Grim Reaper in his heart, looked at Su Yun with a trace of respect. This was enough to let him know where he should stand. "Brother Yun, now let's go back." Su Yun waved his hand. Lu Feng looked at the medicinal cuisine restaurant that had just been renovated and said to Su Yun, "Brother, I have a lot of workers. I'll ask them to come tomorrow. I'll do this job. I'll definitely do it beautifully." Su Yun smiled. "I've already asked Pang Gang to do it. How can I change people halfway? But I don't mind if you find me some experienced workers." "That's good. My hands are sore from shooting nail guns today." Xiao Chang laughed. "Before you see me tomorrow, deal with the car." Su Yun finally told Xiao Chang. "Okay, let's go." After Su Yun gave the order, Chang and others naturally left. Seeing Chang drive Fan Nanjia's car directly, Lu Feng's attitude towards Chang changed a lot. After all, he was Su Yun's favorite person. "Brother Chang, let's find a place to drink?" Lu Feng suggested. Dan Hongning heard and also gathered around. "Yes, Brother Chang. We'll be together for a long time in the future. Let's deepen our relationship." "Forget it today. I still have to do what Brother Yun asked me to do." Chang was a little complacent. In the past, these big guys didn't look at him in the eye, but now they were nodding and bowing to him. How cool. Kong grabbed Chang's arm and smiled brightly. "Brother Chang, why don't you give us some face? Let's go to the seafood stall. It's my brother's shop. Let's drink until we're drunk. I really have something on. I can't delay Big Brother Yun's orders." To be honest, Chang wanted to go. When he thought that the 3 tigers of Nanqing would toast him, he felt complacent. However, he didn't dare to delay the matter of Su Yun asking him to sell his car. "Isn't it just about the car? Brother Chang, if you trust me, I'll make a call in a while and ask one of my brothers to come over. The price will definitely be higher than anyone you find." Lu Feng patted his chest and said. Chang was stunned. His face was slightly doubtful. "Really? He won't dare to earn money from Brother Chang and Brother Yin." Dan Hongning laughed. "Let's go. Let's drink." On the 2nd floor of the medicinal cuisine restaurant, Su Yun wasn't idle. He finally explained the situation of those people to Wan Qingshuang. Wan Qingshuang finally understood. Su Yun really wanted her to be the boss of those hoodlums. My God, is this world crazy? My mother is a boss. Guogua has decided. If the teacher assigns an essay, I will write this. Guogua looked at Wan Qingshuang with admiration. "Mom, just be it. If my classmates know that my mother is a boss of the underworld, let's see who dares to be rude to me." Su Yun looked at Guogua with a smile. "You didn't say anything bad about me to Miss Su during dinner today, right?" "No, Miss Su asked you why you didn't go." Guogua's eyes suddenly flashed. "Dad, I can see that Miss Su seems to be very interested in you. If you can get her, Guogua won't have any objections. This way, I will have someone to protect me in school." Chou Yun got up and said indifferently, "Guogua, go to bed early." Then he turned and went back to the room. "I'll give you 2 some time." Guogua was very sensible and went back to her room. Wan Qingshuang slowly raised her head and looked at Su Yun with suspicion. "Su Yun, you weren't joking with me just now, were you?" "No," Su Yun said casually. "How can I be the underworld's big sister? Aren't you making things difficult for me, Su Yun? And I don't want to have anything to do with the underworld. I'm just an ordinary person." As Wan Qingshuang spoke, she became a little anxious. "I just want to sell some medicinal cuisine peacefully. and do my own business dutifully. I don't want to be the kind of person who is despised and notorious by others. Su-Yun already knew that Ruan Qingxuang would have such a reaction. With her soft personality, it was really a mess for her to be the underworld's big sister. However, Su-Yun felt that this messy arrangement might actually be a good thing. Do you still remember how we met? Su-Yun said indifferently. I remember very clearly. Although you had been holding it in the end, you couldn't hold back your tears. When those people bullied you, did you feel wronged? Ruan Qingxuang didn't speak. She clearly remembered the day when she met Su-Yun. LV Bao brought the gangsters of the Four Wolves gang to ask for money. There were so many people watching, but no one dared to speak up for her. If it wasn't for Su-Yun, she really didn't know what would have happened. If it was her, she would have endured it, but she also had Guoguo with her. But who dares to treat you like this today? Su-Yun continued. Chang said that Dan Hongning, Kong Zhong, LV Feng, none of them are good people. With them escorting you. Who dares to bully you? I let you be the big sister, not to let you bully others. I just hope that you won't be harassed by those rotten fish and shrimps in the future. Although what Su-Yun said was very reasonable, Ruan Qingxuang still couldn't accept the fact that she was the underworld's big sister. But I don't know how to talk to them. They will do whatever you ask them to do. If you don't want them to do evil, then tell them to lie down obediently. Su-Yun smiled slightly. He knew that Ruan Qingxuang's heart was no longer so resistant. Maybe you can try to change these gangsters. Me? Ruan Qingxuang was shocked. Su-Yun was joking with her. She could change those gangsters? What a joke. Su-Yun nodded. How do you know if you don't try? Ruan Qingxuang still shook her head like a rattledrum. Impossible, absolutely impossible. How can I deal with those gangsters? I can't. Don't you still have me? Su-Yun gave Ruan Qingxuang a quiet smile. Ruan Qingxuang's heart rippled. Looking at Su-Yun's quiet smile and calm eyes, she finally found her confidence. Can I really? Ruan Qingxuang took a deep breath. Su-Yun smiled slightly. Of course I believe in you. Ruan Qingxuang bit her tender red lips. Looking at Su-Yun's heart, she was a little troubled. But what can I do with them? How can I change them? Dan Hongning has Dolua City, Lu Feng has a construction team, and Kong Zhong has a battlefield. These are all serious matters. Su-Yun, isn't our ancestral medicinal cuisine greater than their development potential? Opening branches, franchising, entering hotels, there are too many things you can do. Hearing Su-Yun's words, Ruan Qingxuang was so shocked that she couldn't say a word. To be able to make the ancestral medicinal cuisine into franchises and open branches was Ruan Qingxuang's dream. It was a dream buried in the deepest part of her heart. It was a dream that she would only occasionally think of and find laughable. And when Su-Yun said all this, it sounded so nonchalant. Could these dreams really be realized? Ruan Qingxuang couldn't believe it. She stared at Su-Yun, and her tumbling heart couldn't calm down for a long time. A dream that isn't laughable isn't worth realizing. Su-Yun smiled slightly. Ruan Qingxuang's eyes almost turned red and tears were about to come out. A police car stopped at the roadside downstairs. Qin Wan'er got out of the car, and the police car left again. Someone is back. Su-Yun smiled. Sister Shuang, I'm sleepy. I'm going back to my room to sleep. Ruan Qingxuang's mind was already filled with the dream that Su-Yun had evoked. She nodded mechanically. Did she really want to be the boss of those hooligans? This question would probably bother her for many days. Qin Wan'er came back and went upstairs directly. Seeing that there was only Ruan Qingxuang in the living room, she asked, Sister Shuang, where's Su-Yun? Su-Yun? He was here just now. I think he went to sleep. Ruan Qingxuang looked at the tired Qin Wan'er. He called you out. Why did you come back so late? Qin Wan'er glanced at Su-Yun's door and said, Today, we uncovered the largest sex trafficking ring in the city. Su-Yun gave me the information. He came back first, so I brought all the people involved in the sex trafficking ring back to the station before coming back. Su-Yun? Ruan Qingxuang's face was full of confusion. Qin Wan'er shrugged. It's hard to explain in a few sentences. I'm going to take a shower first. I have to go to the station early tomorrow morning. The surprise interrogation will start tonight. Wan Qingshuang hurriedly said. Then you should go to sleep early. Do you want me to wake up early and make you something to eat tomorrow morning? Sister Shuang, don't be so polite. I'll feel embarrassed. Qin Wan was still a little girl sometimes. Recently, there had been a lot of incidents in the underworld of Hudong City, which made many people restless. Wenhui District and Hongnan District were the two southern districts of Hudong City. Gangsters were uprooted one after another, which made the underworld of Hudong City restless. 2 of the 3 major gangs had already been destroyed. The only remaining hero society was naturally a little scared. However, Su Yanqing, that woman, had always been low-key. When she saw this situation, she immediately calmed down and bought a plane ticket to Southeast Asia to take a vacation. The loud noise didn't just affect the south of Hudong City. The other districts in the east, west, and north of the city also smelled it. No one knew what was going on. Everyone was worried that this was the prelude to a heat wave, which wasn't good news for them. Chapter 50. There was no need for Su Yin to worry about the renovation of the medicinal cuisine house. Lu Feng brought a dozen experienced workers and handed it over to Pang Gang. Chang also met up with the infantryman introduced by Lu Feng early in the morning. The price of the car was 150,000 yuan. After all, it was a stolen car. No matter how expensive it was, he couldn't sell it in other provinces. After getting Su Yun's approval, Chang also threw the car keys to the infantryman. After driving a BMW for hundreds of kilometers, driving his Citroën was like driving a tractor. Along the way, Chang's mind was filled with the thought of making some money and changing his car. Dan Hongning was not idle either. He was called to the medicinal cuisine house by Su Yun early in the morning. I want to do a pilot in your Dolua city and sell Sister Shuang's ancestral medicinal cuisine. We will provide the recipe and you will find the chef. Su Yun went straight to the point. We will split the profits 30 to 70. You put in the effort and get 70%. Dan Hongning's face was a little ugly at first, but when he heard the 30 to 70 split, he was no longer worried. Don't, Brother Yin. This secret recipe is Sister Shuang's. How dare I take 70%? 30% is enough. At first, Dan Hongning didn't think that Su Yin would split the money with him. He thought that Su Yin was borrowing his place to sell the medicinal cuisine, so he was very hesitant. After all, he couldn't refuse. If he didn't refuse, he would have to pay for the chef. But Su Yin gave him 70% right off the bat, so how could he not be overjoyed? Dan Hongning was happy. He quickly took out the Zhonghua cigarette from his pocket and handed it to Su Yun. The chef is not free. Don't be stubborn. 70% is not much. As long as you work hard, I promise that the profits won't be less than your dolua. Su Yun casually blocked the cigarette Dan Hongning handed over. If you agree, I will tell Sister Shuang now. Brother, 50 to 50. Let's 50 to 50. After all, this medicinal cuisine is passed down from Sister Shuang's ancestors. I am just providing a place and a person. 70% is too much. Dan Hongning wasn't someone who had just entered society. He was a wily old fox, and he knew that he had to pay attention to how much he should take. If Su Yin and Ruan Qingshuang were ordinary people begging him to sell the medicinal cuisine in his Dolua city, he would ask for at least 80% of it. However, Su Yin was different. Not only was Su Yin not an ordinary person, but he was also a fierce person who was so fierce that his tongue was about to fall off. Now Dan Hongning was working for Sister Shuang and Brother Yin. If he wanted to have a smooth life and occasionally make Officer Qin give him face, he had to make Sister Shuang and Brother Yin happy. The best way to make people happy was to make them money. At least, that was what Dan Hongning understood. 50-50? Su Yin raised his eyebrows. This guy is sensible, not bad. Brother Yin, if you think it's appropriate, then so be it. If I take more than Sister Shuang, then you're slapping me in the face. Dan Hongning said with a flattering smile. You don't have to worry about the chef. You also don't have to worry about the promotion. Even if I don't let them eat dolua, I will definitely recommend Sister Shuang's ancestral medicinal cuisine. Su Yin smiled and nodded. Then it's settled. I'll let little Fei go over to your side to cooperate with you. You have no objections, right? Of course not. I'm more than happy that Brother Yun is arranging people for me. Dan Hongning saw Su Yun smile and his heart was also dispelled. Brother, I'll give little Fei too, 3,000. Is that okay? F*ck. My salary is only 1,000. Su Yun was completely defeated. He had boarded Guogua's pirate ship. That little miser, F*ck. Achoo. Achoo. Guogua, who had just arrived at the school gate, sneezed twice. She rubbed her little nose and looked up at the sky unhappily. Cho Yun said with concern, Guogua, do you have a cold? If you don't feel well, go and ask for leave from the teacher. I'll take you back. Guogua looked at the floating clouds in the sky and said calmly, thinking, scolding, and worrying. I sneezed twice. This means that someone is scolding me. It must be that little fatty. I won't forgive him. Cho Yun frowned. She couldn't understand what Guogua was talking to herself. Cho Yun, sister, you can go back. Guogua waved goodbye to Cho Yun, and then rushed to the school building step by step. Cho Yun watched as Guogua disappeared. Her gentle eyes slowly turned cold. Red Scorpion. Did you come to Hudong City or not? Thinking of this, Cho Yun suddenly had a headache. That guy whose whereabouts were unknown, if he really came here, it would be really troublesome. Cho Yun, who was known as the Violent Fox Master, had been in the underground world for many years. She had met many opponents. She had never fought with Red Scorpion, but she had fought with Green Ghost, who was much more powerful than Red Scorpion. Cho Yun and Green Ghost's defeat meant that Feng Qiansui was eliminated from the Suang underground world. That man was too scary. Cho Yun didn't know if Green Ghost had broken through the bottleneck and become a real master, but with her strength as a first-class master, she couldn't even last 10 moves against Green Ghost. It was during that fight that Cho Yun was almost killed by the 7 deadly palms. Thinking about it now, Cho Yun still had lingering fears. If she hadn't met Su Yun, she would have died a few days ago. Even if she didn't die at the hands of Mountain Cat, Gong Yu, or Qin Hu, she would have died from internal injuries. Cho Yun couldn't defeat Green Ghost, and Red Scorpion was Green Ghost's #1 warrior. Many people said that his strength was on par with Green Ghost. Obviously, Cho Yun knew that this was nonsense. The underground world relied on strength. If Red Scorpion was really stronger than Green Ghost, he wouldn't have followed Green Ghost. However, even so, Cho Yun was very sure that Red Scorpion's strength was definitely a first-class master. He was more than 10 times stronger than Gong Yu. After all, a second-class master like Gong Yu only managed to strengthen the internal organs, increase the vitality, extend the lifespan by a few decades, have great strength, and have stacking strength in the veins. However, a first-class master like Cho Yun had already opened up the veins in the body. Stacking strength had turned into a wisp of internal strength, and the skill had reached the peak. Obviously, even if they were all first-class masters, there were 3, 6, and 9 levels. Perhaps Red Scorpion was one of those above level 6. Cho Yun knew that even if she used all her strength, she could only barely reach level 5. Now, even if the internal strength of the 7 deadly palms was eliminated by Su Yun, and she had the 9 treasures revival pill to protect her body, she could only reach level 2 or 3 at most. Did she really have to rely on Su Yun? Cho Yun had a big knot in her heart. Although she already knew that Su Yun was definitely a first-class master, could he reach level 6 or above? Even if Su Yun really had the strength of level 6 or above, could he really fight Red Scorpion? After all, she had never heard of Su Yun's name in the underground world. However, Red Scorpion was a fierce person whose name shook the world. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been listed as an S-level wanted person by the Huaxia government. Cho Yun was also a fierce person in the underground world. However, she had never done anything out of line outside of the underground world. Therefore, she didn't bear any wanted orders. A black cloud floated over her head. Cho Yun had a very bad feeling in her heart. This feeling was very oppressive. Cho Yun. Suddenly, a silvery voice shouted, "Did you come to send off Guogua yourself today?" Cho Yun turned around and saw Su Shaoran dressed in professional attire. "Miss Su, where's Guogua?" Su Shaoran asked with a brilliant smile. Cho Yun looked in the direction of the school building. She already went in. "Miss Su, I'll be leaving first. After saying this, Cho Yun turned around and left. She kept feeling very uneasy. If she didn't thoroughly investigate the entire school, she wouldn't be able to relax. Enmity. Su Xiaoran still wanted to say something, but in the end she stopped herself. Guogua's personality was very lively, but this sister of hers was indeed very cold. Su Xiaoran could feel it when she spoke to her. Forget it. Su Xiaoran faintly smiled and shook her head. Afterwards, she took large strides towards the office building. A beautiful day had begun again. The classroom of the first grade was very lively. A group of people gathered at the back of the classroom to watch the show. Damn, Fatty, did you secretly scold me this morning because you couldn't catch up with me? Guogua's face was filled with displeasure. With one hand on her waist, she pointed at a chubby little boy in front of her. The little fatty heavily snorted. He put down the hamburger in his hand and wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. Feng Guogua, do you know who my father is? If you don't agree to be my girlfriend, I'll tell my father. Guogua's face was filled with disdain. She rolled her eyes. I'm too lazy to know who your father is. Do you know who my mother is? The little fatty stared at Guogua several times. Who's your mother? No matter how strong your mother is, she'll still be afraid when she sees my father. Feng Guogua, be my girlfriend. In the future, I'll let you eat my hamburger every day. After saying that, the little fatty picked up the remaining half of the hamburger from the table and reluctantly handed it over to Guogua. Guogua's face was filled with disdain. Go, go, go. Who wants to eat this junk food? What I eat every day is my father's personally made medicinal cuisine. It's much better than your lousy hamburger. So your father is a chef? Ahahaha, Guogua, my father is a big boss. The little fatty proudly said. Guogua of course wasn't convinced. In a fit of anger, she reached out and pushed the little fatty. If you dare to speak ill of my father again, be careful or I'll hit you. You dare? If you hit me, I'll tell Miss Su. The little fatty wasn't afraid at all. Okay, I won't hit you. I'll let my mother catch you and feed you to the dogs. Damn fatty. My mother is the boss of the underworld. You're dead. Guogua glared fiercely at the little fatty in front of her. The little fatty was so scared that his whole body shivered. His eyes turned red and he cried. Then he ran out of the classroom like crazy. Just then, Su Xiaoran came to the classroom. Before she could react, she only saw the little fatty's back. Sun Haoran, where are you going? Class is starting soon. When Guogua saw that Su Xiaoran came, she quickly stuck out her tongue. She turned around and looked at the surrounding friends. She threatened in a low voice, don't snitch. The group of friends were all stunned. Who would dare? Feng Guogua had already said that her mother was the boss of the underworld. Everyone obediently sat in their own seats. Guogua, what happened to Sun Haoran? Su Xiaoran walked into the classroom with a puzzled look. Guogua shrugged her shoulders and spread her hands. Maybe he peed in his pants. How would a girl know? Chapter 51. With the help of Lu Feng, the renovation of the medicinal cuisine restaurant was progressing very quickly. Wan Qingshuang was overjoyed when she saw this. She brewed tea and brought it downstairs, which made the people downstairs feel flattered. At the very least, Lu Feng and Dan Hongning did not dare to drink such life-shortening tea. Chang sold the BMW and drove the Divine Dragon Little Fukong to deliver the 150,000 yuan to Su Yun. Su Yun did not order it, and went upstairs to put down the money. Sister Shuang, Xiao Dan really wants to introduce the medicinal cuisine to his Dolua city. You provide the recipe, and he provides the manpower and land. We'll split the profits 50-50. What do you think? Su Yun was in a good mood. He walked downstairs with a smile, as if he was talking about something very ordinary. Wan Qingshuang did not dare to think about it. She thought it was just a fantasy yesterday, but today, Su Yun directly let her take such a big step forward. Really? Dan Hongning quickly went forward. Of course, Sister Shuang. If you think it's suitable, then let's do it today. I'll find someone to introduce a few chefs to me. You'll come with me to pick the chefs. You're not joking, right? Wan Qingshuang's brain was a little confused. What are you joking about? Xiao Dan asked you to pick the chefs. Just go with him. You can't help here. Su Yun waved his hand and said, bring the medicinal cuisine recipe with you. Dan Hongning nodded vigorously. Yes, Sister Shuang. Bring the recipe with you. You can choose the chef who cooks to your taste. Ruan Shuang was too embarrassed to say that her mouth was now picky because of Su Yun. The medicinal cuisine made by ordinary chefs might not be able to enter her eyes. Go. Su Yun looked at Ruan Shuang and raised his eyebrows. Ruan Shuang's mind recalled Su Yun's words yesterday. She would go. She wanted to change the current situation. She wanted the medicinal cuisine to flourish. I'll go take a look then. I'll leave the matters here to you. Lu Feng walked out from the crowd of workers. Brother, why don't you go too? I'll keep an eye on this place. Su Yun shook his head. You don't understand, Sister Shuang. Sister Shuang doesn't want others to tell her what to do. Ruan Shuang's tender body trembled. Su Yun was reminding her to make her own decision. She was the big sister. Whatever she said was right, and no one else could say anything to her. Hearing this, Dan Hongning thought for a while and quickly ran to open the car door. After the two left, Lu Feng lit a cigarette and walked to Su Yun's side. Brother Yin, I think these floor tiles are old enough. Why don't we change them together? The carpentry can be finished today, and there aren't many styles. Change the floor tiles? Su Yun looked at the polished tiles on the ground. They were indeed old. Isn't the cost a bit too high? Lu Feng grinned. Although he was at least 10 years older than Su Yun, he still called him cordially. Brother Yin, what do I do? Do I need to spend money on these tiles? I have a brother who makes building materials. He makes tiles. Branded goods. I just need to say a word and he'll send it to me. Okay, then we'll do as you say. Su Yun wouldn't be polite. He would be a fool if he didn't eat a free pie. I'll ask Kong Zhong to send 2 cars of sand. I'll ask my workers to get some cement from my construction site. Isn't this a small matter? Lu Feng was indeed a small project manager. These things were arranged in an orderly manner. Su Yun was too lazy to think. I'll leave it to you. Thank you for your hard work. After making a few phone calls, Lu Feng walked to Su Yun's side with a dark face. Brother Yun, something happened at Kong Zhong's sand factory. Even when Su Yun saw Lu Feng's dark face, he still had a calm expression. What happened? Someone brought a lot of people and smashed the sand factory early in the morning. Kong Zhong is still inside. Lu Feng couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. Listening to his words, it seems like Fan Nanjia's people did it. Su Yun was a little interested. Fan Nanjia was really not simple. Wasn't he caught yesterday? He didn't expect to be able to retaliate. Thinking about it, it was Kong Zhong who brought people to block the secret door yesterday. The first person Fan Nanjia wanted to take revenge on was naturally him. Chang, let's go. Let's go and take a look. Su Yun glanced outside the door. The divine dragon Little Fukong quietly stopped at the door. F*CK, where's Fan Nanjia's BMW? Don't tell me you want me to take this? Chang's face was black. Brother, you asked me to deal with the car. I did it early in the morning. I even gave you the money. Did you forget? Su Yun patted his head. My brain is not enough these days. Brother Yin, are you going to go with just the 2 of you? Lu Feng also suspected that his brain was not enough. Although he also heard from Dan Hongning that Su Yun was very good at fighting, but from Kong Zhong's words, the other side had a lot of people who were very good at fighting. Otherwise, Kong Zhong would not be at a disadvantage. Su Yun looked at Lu Feng and suddenly realized. Yes, don't you have a car? You can send me there. Wrangler, this car is not bad. It's a big man's toy. Brother Yin, don't joke with me. I can't stand it. Lu Feng rubbed his chest. He couldn't be stupid enough to go alone. Even if he was going to help Kong Zhong, he had to bring hundreds of brothers. I'll call people. Do you think it's the underworld seeking revenge? Su Yun glared at him. I heard from Qin Wan, that the underworld has been strictly investigated recently. As long as they dare to mess around, they will be uprooted. Lu Feng was surprised. But Brother Yin, your matter. Officer Qin also cares? She's not my wife. Of course she cares. Su Yun said as he strode to the side of Lu Feng's Jeep Wrangler. Don't dawdle. Let's go. Although Lu Feng was unwilling in his heart, he still gritted his teeth and got into the car. Let's go. At most, he would walk on the line of life and death. Anyway, he had experienced this kind of thing before. This car was much more unruly than many city off-road vehicles. Its performance was unquestionable. Even if it was walking on the muddy roads of the villages, it would still be absolutely good. Soon Su Yun saw Kongzhong's river sand field. The scale was not small. However, in the middle of the river, there was a sand-digging boat with half of its body planted horizontally in the river. It was somewhat embarrassing. Even the sand-digging boat was sunk. This group of people was vicious. Although the boat was not a good thing, the price was not cheap. Several vans were parked around the sand field. Lu Feng's heart couldn't help but rise. The number of people on the other side was really not small. A noisy sound came. Xiao Chong was shocked and stretched out his finger. Brother, look over there. A group of fierce big men were holding various weapons and smashing a sand-washing machine. The machine quickly fell under the siege of the crowd. However, the group still did not intend to stop. They turned their eyes to other machines. Lu Feng also saw Kongzhong with a bruised nose and swollen face. More than 20 of Kongzhong's men were lying on the ground. It was obvious that Kongzhong had given up. Grease my feet. Go over. Su Yun said lightly. Chong heard a bit of anger in his calm voice. Kongzhong had helped him yesterday. Su Yun was not the kind of person who only knew how to use people. Helping Kongzhong today was to return the favor of helping him block Fan Nanjia yesterday. Besides, if Su Yun did not order Kongzhong to block the door, he would not have gotten into this kind of trouble today. Lu Feng hesitated. What could he change if he rushed down like this? He was already calculating in his heart how many brothers he should call to have a chance of winning. But at this time, Su Yun slapped Lu Feng's right knee. Lu Feng's right foot directly stepped on the accelerator. The Performance King made a roaring sound and directly broke through the restrictions of the steep slope by the river. It went straight to the target scene. It was too late when Lu Feng reacted and released the accelerator. With such a steep slope, even if he stopped the car with his foot, the car still slid in front of the group of stunned big men due to inertia. Su Yun opened the door and got out of the car without saying a word. He looked at Kongzhong, whose mouth and eyes were bruised. You can't even do such a thing. How can you continue to run your business? Chong also patted Lu Feng and asked him to get out of the car. Lu Feng still hesitated a little before jumping out of the car. Even though Kongzhong was beaten so badly, he still had a smile on his face. Brother Yin, can't you see that I'm a person who smiles and says good things to everyone I see? There are not many people who find trouble with me. It's my fault. It's my fault for asking you to block the secret door yesterday. Today, I'll deal with these people. Su Yun said and turned his gaze to the group of people in front of him. When this large group of burly men with rude and unreasonable auras saw Su Yun's eyes that were filled with disdain, malice immediately rose in their hearts as they sneered malevolently. What a boastful brat. He actually said that he wanted to deal with them. Who's the leader? Su Yun patted Kongzhong's shoulder and walked forward unhurriedly. The rude and unreasonable men opposite him also rubbed their fists and palms, as if they were going to ruthlessly trample on this inconspicuous brat in front of them at any time. I'm the leader. A tall and sturdy guy suddenly stood up from the group of big men. His arms were as thick as a city wall. His arms were even thicker than some women's thighs. However, they were definitely not as white and smooth as a woman's thighs. Su Yun was still calm and did not panic. You're Fan Nanjia's dog? I was the one who caused the incident at the bathing center yesterday. If you have anything to say, just come at me. His words caused a huge commotion. The group of fierce and barbaric big men all pressed forward. F***CK, how dare you be so arrogant in front of Brother Shanzi? Brother Shanzi, this brat is looking for death. Let's fulfill his wish. Yeah, if we don't break his arm today, he won't know who you are, Brother Shanzi. The group of people spoke one after another, and did not take Su Yun seriously at all. Of course, there were also people who were too lazy to talk nonsense and directly pounced on him. Looking at their posture, it seemed that they wanted to tear Su Yun apart on the spot. Su Yun dodged to the side, and sent his fist mercilessly to the man's chin. Blood spurted out of the man's mouth on the spot. and he was directly put to the ground without making a sound. This was really terrifying. A few people who wanted to say something ruthless swallowed their words back into their stomachs. "Humph, I didn't expect you to be such a ruthless brat." The tall and sturdy man who was called Brother Shanzi casually lit a cigarette. "If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Brothers, play with him well. When you're tired of playing with him, throw him into the river to feed the fish." Chapter 52. In a short period of time, this group of burly men were all kicked into the river by Su Yun. Everyone was like a drowning dog, their faces full of disappointment and fear. Don't talk about fighting with Su Yun. They were all kneeling down before they could even see Su Yun's punch. Then they were directly kicked away by a big foot. The cigarette in Shanzi's hand had not even been lit halfway when his men were all wiped out. He saw clearly that none of his men could withstand a punch from the other party. All of them knelt down in one move and were kicked away by a second kick. Lu Feng and the Jeep Wrangler had long been dumbfounded. He was the head of a small construction site and had seen a lot of things. Fighting over construction sites had happened from time to time, but it was definitely the first time he had seen such a ruthless character like Su Yun. At this time, Lu Feng understood why Chang could come alone with Su Yun so calmly. He also finally believed Dan Hongning's words yesterday that Brother Yun could kill Fan Nanjia's men in a second. Kong Zhong looked at Su Yun as if he was looking at a god. There were only doubts in his heart. Is he a human? Fan Nanjia asked you to come? Su Yun walked to the burly man named Shanzi. Shanzi denied and shook his head. No. You are one of his men? You are quite loyal. Su Yun looked at him indifferently. I am not one of Fan Nanjia's men. Shanzi did not avoid Su Yun's gaze. But I have to return a favor to him. Su Yun was startled. You owe him? Shanzi nodded. To tell you the truth, I was sentenced to 2 years. I was just released from the mountain less than a month ago. Last year, my parents died in my family. My sister said that Fan Nanjia paid to bury them. I should return this favor, and he also let my sister work in his bathing center. Brother, stop talking. In a white van, a girl couldn't help but shout angrily. Su Yun turned his head and looked over. Isn't she number 18 who served me on the 4th floor of the tropical rainforest last night? Shanzi was stunned by his sister's shout. He didn't know what was going on, so he just looked over in a daze. Do you know what kind of job Fan Nanjia wants your sister to do? Su Yun's eyes flashed with coldness. Shanzi's whole body trembled, and his lips trembled. He had no doubts about it at first, but when he said it he was at a loss. Be a cashier. Su Yun shook his head. The girl in the white van gritted her teeth and pleaded. I beg you, don't say any more. Su Yun ignored Shanzi and turned to Chang. Get a cigarette. Chang was stunned. Brother Yin did not smoke in the past. At this time, Lu Feng quickly took out a Chunghua cigarette and lit it in time. Su Yun took a puff of the cigarette and thought, if I knew that bastard Fan Nanjia was such a good-for-nothing, I should have let him know the taste of death yesterday. Despicable people who take advantage of other people's difficulties are the most hateful. Shanzi trembled as he walked to the van and said to the girl in the van, Sister, what's going on? The girl cried. Brother, I had no choice. If I didn't give myself to Fan Nanjia, I wouldn't even have the money to cremate my parents. But I didn't expect that he would force me to sell. Brother. Woo. Then why did you lie to me? Why did you lie to me and say that Fan Nanjia is my King's savior? Shanzi's blue veins popped out of his fist and directly smashed the window of the van. The window shattered and blood flowed out along Shanzi's arm. The girl just cried and couldn't say a word. With your personality, if she told the truth, what would you do? Su Yun put out the cigarette on the ground and choked. Shanzi's eyes were bloodshot and stared like a bull's. I'll kill that bastard. Su Yun stood up and looked at Shanzi. That's why your sister didn't tell you. She didn't want her brother to go in again. She didn't want to endure the pain of not having a family. Chang was touched by Su Yun's words. Damn, Brother Yin is Brother Yin. He's so good. At this time, he lit a cigarette and said something meaningful. Thinking of this, he also took a Chunghua cigarette from Lu Feng and lit it. In the future, he would not smoke the 7 yuan a box of White General. After Shanzi and his sister hugged their heads and cried for a while, the group of men who were kicked by Su Yun and fell into the water also climbed ashore. They didn't miss anything that they should see or listen to, but they all had mixed feelings in their hearts. Shanzi's sister was ruined by Fan Nanjia, but Shanzi still came in high spirits to help Fan Nanjia. No wonder Shanzi's sister didn't say a word on the way here today. It was as if she had something on her mind. I really deserve to die. Shanzi suddenly shouted to the sky and then strode to Su Yun. Without saying anything, he knelt in front of Su Yun. F***ck. Su Yun jumped in fright and hurriedly took a few steps back. This gift was a bit too much. Shanzi's face was solemn. When he heard Kong Zhong call the person in front of him Brother Yun, he followed and said, Brother Yun, if it wasn't for you today, I, Shanzi, wouldn't know how much pain my sister was in. That bastard Fan Nanjia was beaten up by you. You are my benefactor. If you have anything to say, I, Shanzi, will do it. Su Yun waved his hand. Take your sister and leave quickly. I can't bear to see women cry. Shanzi nodded, then said to the men who had been beaten up by Su Yun, in the future, Big Brother Yun is my boss, which means he's your boss. We have to take responsibility for the sins we've committed today. You guys stay here and get the sand boat. I'll be back after sending my sister back. Kong Zhong touched the bruised corner of his mouth. These punches were in vain. Shanzi was also a tough guy. At least when he faced Su Yun, who beat up more than 30 of his brothers, he didn't show any fear on his face. With this point, he was much better than the 3 tigers of South City. Su Yun opened the door of the Wrangler's driver's seat and jumped in. Skillfully reversing the car, he made a beautiful U-turn and stepped on the accelerator to keep up. This car with super high off-road performance was like a bull that had seen a red cloth, stubbornly climbing up the steep slope of the river. After the car drove up, Su Yun got out again and said to Lu Feng and Chang, Let's go. Are you waiting for me to pick you up? Damn, it's hard for 2 people to climb the slope. Lu Feng was distressed. There was a gentle slope next to them. It was just a detour. But Su Yun didn't think so. If they took the ordinary road, any car at this price would be more comfortable than the Jeep Wrangler. Driving this car was not the ordinary road. By the way, Kong Zhong, arrange someone to send me some sand later. Brother Yun's medicinal cuisine restaurant will use it to pave the ground. Lu Feng didn't forget to turn back and tell Kong Zhong before climbing up the river. Okay, send it over in an hour. Kong Zhong grinned. Damn it, he had to go to the hospital first. The teaching arrangement of the bilingual international school was different from that of ordinary full-time primary schools. This was one of the characteristics of this school. It was because you couldn't tell whether it was a language class or an English class. There was only one class left before the end of school. Su Xiaoran was also thirsty. She was especially worried now. Sun Haoran had left the class because he wet his pants and hadn't returned. Guoguo was really arrogant in the class. After the class, she was surrounded by a group of people. After all, even Sun Haoran, the little tyrant, was scared to tears. Guoguo was, of course, not an ordinary person. However, Guoguo's good days didn't last long. After the class, before Su Xiaoran could walk out of the classroom door was pushed open by a big hand. A 35-year-old, well-dressed man walked in with Sun Haoran, who had changed into clean clothes. Sun Haoran. Su Xiaoran was stunned at first, then she smiled at the man. Hello, are you Sun Haoran's father? The man didn't even care about Su Xiaoran. He lowered his head and asked, Son, tell Dad, who is it? It's her. Sun Haoran pointed at Guoguo with his fat finger. Feng Guoguo. Fatty, you're an adult, yet you still wet your pants. You look for an adult when you have a problem. Don't you feel ashamed? Guoguo looked disgusted. She didn't feel afraid or guilty because the other party called her parents. The man snorted and pointed at Guoguo. Little girl, didn't you say that your mother is a mafia boss? Well, then tell your mother that I will wait for her at the school gate after school at noon. If she doesn't come, don't blame me for being rude. You scared my son. Little girl, you're quite powerful. Guoguo frowned and gave tit for tat. It's your son who is a hooligan. He said that he wants me to be his girlfriend. He doesn't even look at himself. Do you think he's worthy of me? The man was infuriated by Guoguo's words. Damn girl. I can strangle you to death with one finger. Do you believe me? Sorry, this is a school. Please pay attention to your words and actions. Su Xiaoran also stopped smiling. She had never seen such a petty parent. He actually squabbled with a child. Sun Haoran's father, do you have to intervene in the matters between children? Get lost. The man was not polite at all to Su Xiaoran. My son was bullied in class. As a teacher, you can't get away with it. After that, the man directly led his fat son and turned to leave, leaving behind the aggrieved Su Xiaoran. The parents of students nowadays were really too much. Their words were too harsh. But what did Guogua do? Su Xiaoran couldn't help but curiously turn to Guogua. Guogua's face was bright. Miss Su, you're making me embarrassed. Su Xiaoran's face darkened. This little evildoer. It seemed that she should give Ruan Qingshuang a call. If Guogua caused any trouble, she couldn't bear the responsibility. Ruan Qingshuang spent the entire morning at Dan Hongning's Dolua City. Dan Hongning's efficiency was excellent. He found more than 10 chefs who had experience in making medicinal cuisine. According to the recipe and formula given by Ruan Qingshuang, each of them made a portion. After tasting it, Ruan Qingshuang finally chose 3 people. Dan Hongning found someone to make a large colorful banner at the advertising company. It said, "Our shop is releasing a secret ancestral medicinal cuisine. It's a delicacy that clears away heat and reduces inflammation. It's an essential health supplement." Chapter 53. Sister Shuang, what's wrong with you? Dan Hongning asked cautiously when he saw that Ruan Qingshuang didn't look well. He was puzzled. He had met Ruan Qingshuang twice, and this big sister had never been angry with him. Ruan Qingshuang looked up at Dan Hongning and thought of what Su Yin had said to her the day before. She gritted her teeth and said, Dan Hongning, send me to the bilingual international school. My daughter got into some trouble. Dan Hongning didn't dare to say another word. He immediately ordered the chefs that Ruan Qingshuang liked to stay and the others to leave. Then he quickly went to the backyard and drove the car. After inviting Ruan Qingshuang into the car, he went straight to the bilingual international school. Dan Hongning drove as fast as lightning and soon sent Ruan Qingshuang to the school. There were still more than 10 minutes before school ended. Ruan Qingshuang got out of the car at the school gate and went to the security room to register. Then she went straight to Su Xiaoran's office. Since the big sister didn't say anything, Dan Hongning naturally didn't dare to leave. He parked the car in the empty parking space at the school gate, rolled down the window, and leisurely lit a cigarette. Today, Dan Hongning also tasted Ruan Qingshuang's ancestral secret medicinal cuisine. It tasted really good. With his keen sense of smell, which had been in the food industry for many years, this thing would definitely set off a craze in Hudong. Dan Hongning really didn't expect that after meeting the godlike Chou Yun that day, he would actually get a blessing in disguise. Although he had been following her since he was the big brother, he had followed the right person. At least, Sister Shuang and Brother Yin had given him a new way to make money on the first day. Thinking that he had another way to make money in the future, Dan Hongning couldn't help but smile. Next year, he would replace this Audi Q5 with a bigger Q7. A few fast cars suddenly stopped in front of Dan Hongning. A few young men dressed in fancy clothes got out of the cars. At first glance, one could tell that they were ruffians. The few of them raised their heads and swaggered towards the school gate. Dan Hongning was a little speechless. When he was in school, he would go to the entrance of junior high and high school to extort money from students. He didn't expect that these days, the hooligans would come to the entrance of elementary schools. It was really getting worse and worse. No wonder there were so many parents waiting to pick up their children near the school. Soon, the school bell rang, and the entrance of the bilingual international school instantly turned into a wet market. Students who had just finished school and parents who came to pick up their children were in a mess. Some seniors who came to school by car or bike also rushed out of the school. Dan Hongning threw away the cigarette butt and stamped it out. He was paying attention to when big sister Ruan Qingshuang would come out. 10 minutes later, there were fewer people at the school gate. Dan Hongning soon saw Ruan Qingshuang and the beautiful Miss Su, who had dinner at his Dolua city that night, leading Guogua out of the school. However, before Dan Hongning could go up to greet them, the fancy-dressed hooligans from before surrounded them. Seeing this, the scattered parents who were picking up their children quickly pulled their children away. No one wanted to get into trouble, and no one wanted to be the fish in the moat that would be implicated. Su Xiaoran was shocked. She quickly recognized the well-dressed man standing behind the fancy-dressed hooligans. Sun Haoran's father? What are you trying to do? The chubby boy's parents snorted. Teacher, I'm just worried about my son. This wretched girl said that her mother is a mafia boss. I'm just worried that my son's life will be threatened, so I have no choice but to do this. TSK, do you think I'm scaring you? Guogua wasn't afraid at all. She was unhappy when she saw that it was the chubby Sun Haoran's father again. Ruan Qingshuang had already heard from Su Xiaoran in the office. She pulled Guogua behind her and explained to Sun Haoran's father embarrassedly, "The child doesn't know any better. I hope you won't take offense. If the child has gone overboard in any way, I'll apologize on her behalf." In the face of the gentle and well-mannered Ruan Qingshuang, it was reasonable to say that a normal parent would not have any anger. However, this man was not. Instead, he sneered and became even more arrogant. Gangster sister? Phew. Guogua saw that he was looking down on her mother, so she was naturally unhappy. She glared at him. Be careful with your words. The man sneered and glared at Guogua. He suddenly raised his right hand. So what if I'm not careful? Wretched girl, I'll beat you to death today. Dan Hongning, who was in the car, cried out. His sister and little ancestor were being bullied in front of him. Wouldn't Brother Yin want his life? He wanted to rush over as soon as he closed the car door. Just as the man's palm was about to slap Guogua's pink little face, a phantom flashed by. Cho Yun suddenly appeared out of nowhere and grabbed the man's wrist. The slap that was swinging over was instantly immobilized. Without waiting for the man to get angry, Cho Yun fiercely kicked. The man's body, which weighed more than 50 kilograms, was directly sent flying several meters away. He fell to the ground and wailed in pain. Cho Yun didn't want things to get out of hand at the school gate. She suppressed her anger and said coldly, "Get lost." Ruan Qingshuang and Su Xiaoran both gasped. They didn't expect Cho Yun to be so powerful. Guogua glanced at the embarrassed man proudly and said in her heart, "The son is stupid, the father is stupid." A few young men dressed in fancy clothes were obviously the helpers that the man had called. When they saw the situation, they were stunned at first. Then they became furious and immediately wanted to attack Cho Yun. The little ruffian did not care if this was the school gate or not. "You're all F***king looking for death." Dan Hongning hurried over and scolded the ruffians. "Who are you with?" The ruffians were about to get angry, but they soon recognized Dan Hongning. The expression on their faces instantly froze. One of them trembled and said, "Brother Ning, why are you here?" The title of the Three Tigers of South City was definitely not for nothing in the 2nd district of Hudong City. The ruffians were absolutely terrified when they saw him. "Do you know who I am? Then get lost." Dan Hongning raised his hand and pretended to slap them. The ruffians quickly went to help their big brother who was kicked down by the woman. Dan Hongning turned around with a worried face. "Sister Shuang, Sister Yen, Miss Su, if I had known, I would have waited for you at the gate. Who knew that this group of bastards would be so blind that they even dared to provoke you?" Cho Yun didn't say anything, but Ruan Qingshuang and Su Xiaoran were shocked. Guogua, the culprit, said to Dan Hongning as if nothing had happened. "Well done. I will tell Dad." "Ha, thank you, Guogua." Dan Hongning was immediately happy. This meant that he had done something good in front of Brother Yin. "Call me Sister Guogua." Guogua was a mischievous child. She pouted unhappily. Dan Hongning's face darkened. "Sister Guogua. What the hell? How is this a sister? This is a little ancestor that can't be provoked." The man who was helped up didn't dare to fart again. Of course, he had heard of Dan Hongning, one of the 3 tigers of Nancheng. He really didn't expect that the little girl's mother was really a big sister. Even Dan Hongning nodded and bowed in front of her. Moreover, the bodyguards around the big sister were really scary. A woman could easily kick him over. Now his ribs were in pain. It was probably fractured. Go back and tell Sun Haoran not to have any ideas about me. Guogua saw that the ruffians were going to take Sun Haoran's father away. She didn't forget to remind them. The man's face was covered in cold sweat. He laughed dryly. I won't dare. I really won't dare. Dan Hongning turned around and put away his smile. Get lost. The ruffians didn't dare to say anything else. They ran as fast as they could with their boss, who had called them here, and got into the car to go to the hospital. This? Su Xiaoran was shocked and uneasy. Wasn't this too exaggerated? Sister Qingshuang looked like a good person. Was she really a gangster? Miss Su, I'll explain it to you when I have time. Wan Qingshuang shook her head helplessly. Alas, the group of abnormal people around her made her feel abnormal too. Guogua thought it was good. At least there was a car to send them home. Dan Hongning was of course happy. He drove the three of them back to the medicinal cuisine restaurant. When they returned to the restaurant, Lu Feng's friends were transporting the tiles. The original tiles of the restaurant had all been broken and cleared out. Isn't this a bit too wasteful? Wan Qingshuang was slightly stunned. The restaurant was nearly 300 square meters. The floor tiles of this brand were at least 60 or 70 yuan per square meter. It would cost at least 20,000 yuan. Su Yin smiled happily. Such good floor tiles only cost 20 yuan per piece. Who are you kidding? Guogua pouted. Do you think I don't know? This is a first-tier brand. Lu Feng smiled and said, he really knows his stuff. This is indeed a first-tier brand of bricks. Coincidentally, there are only a few of these bricks in this color. Even if he were to transfer the goods, it would definitely not be this color. It just so happens that we can use it, so he asked for a processing price. Guogua looked at the proud Lu Feng and coughed lightly. Call me Sister Guogua. Lu Feng's face immediately turned red. He really couldn't say it, but seeing that Su Yin was smiling and didn't seem to have any intention of blaming Guogua, he steeled his heart. Sister Guogua. Forget it. Don't call me that if you're in a difficult position. Guogua didn't appreciate it. She waved her hand and went upstairs. Wan Qingshuang fanned herself with her hand. It's so hot. I'm going upstairs to drink some water. Lu Feng, if you want to drink water, there are tea leaves upstairs. Sister Shuang, go ahead. Don't worry about me. Lu Feng was flattered. Chou Yun still didn't say a word. She followed Wan Qingshuang upstairs. Dan Hongning was stunned. No one mentioned that he helped Sister Shuang to scold the ruffians at noon. Sai, how is it? Is the medicinal cuisine done? Su Yin smiled. Promote it more and you'll make a lot of money. Dan Hongning nodded quickly. Brother Yin, I'll go back first. Today is the first day of the medicinal cuisine. I'll personally supervise and promote it. Go. Lu Feng saw that it was already midnight and said, Brother Yin, why don't we eat together? No need. The kitchen can still be used. I'll cook today. You can stay and eat with me. Su Yin said lightly. Chapter 54. In the afternoon, the carpentry work was basically done, and the medicinal cuisine restaurant soon entered the construction phase of laying the ground. Wan Qingshuang could not stay idle either. After Chou Yun sent Guogua to school, she called Su Yin to go to Dan Hongning's Dolua city to see how the chef she had chosen was like. For the next 2 days, Wan Qingshuang stayed in Dan Hongning's Dolua city. The popularity of the medicinal cuisine had obviously exceeded everyone's expectations, and it did not affect Dan Hongning's Dolua city's business at all. Originally, there were very few people eating Dolua city in the summer, but now that there was medicinal cuisine, it attracted even more customers. All of this was written on Dan Hongning's face, and he was happy in his heart. Su Yin did not stay idle these 2 days. With the 150,000 yuan from selling the car, he let Chang rent a poorly run fast food restaurant in the Hongnan district, which was adjacent to the Wenhui district. The location was not bad, and it did not need to be renovated. It could be operated directly by changing the name of the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Ruan Qingshuang did not know about this, and Su Yin did not let Chang tell Ruan Qingshuang. Because Chang had a little brother called Zhao Peng, who graduated from the New Oriental Chef School, Su Yin directly let Chang bring Zhao Peng and Xiao Fei to the Hongnan district to run the branch. Zhao Peng was also quite capable. Under Su Yun's guidance, he could basically skillfully memorize the recipes of a few popular medicinal cuisine dishes in half a day. The taste of the dishes was not bad, and at least Su Yun recognized it. When they heard that Dan Hongning had started Sister Shuang's ancestral medicinal cuisine in Dolua City, and had made a lot of money, Lu Feng and Kong Zhong were also eager to give it a try. They both proposed the idea of opening a chain store. They would take care of the shop front themselves, but they only wanted Ruan Qingshuang's medicinal cuisine recipes and secret recipes. Like Dan Hongning, they only wanted 50/50. They were willing to give half of the profits to Ruan Qingshuang and Su Yun. Su Yun was naturally very happy about this. He didn't need to fork out any money and could just sit back and enjoy the fruits of others' labor. After Su Yun agreed, they immediately began to prepare. At first, Qin Wan-er was worried that Su Yun would bring Ruan Qingshuang into the underworld. However, after observing for a few days, she didn't find that Su Yun brought Ruan Qingshuang to do anything illegal. On the contrary, Lu Feng, who used to fight with people because of construction projects, didn't cause any more trouble. Kong Zhong also didn't go to the police station to bail people out. Dan Hongning was completely like a businessman. He didn't bring his subordinates to cause trouble in other tofu shops. Therefore, Qin Wan-er didn't intervene. Perhaps the three guys that Chou Yun had subdued weren't bad in nature. Of course, although the three tigers of Nanqing weren't bad in nature, they weren't easy to deal with either. According to Brother Yin, they had dealt with the Four Wolves gang and the Knife and Axe gang. Some of them were subdued and obediently became Ruan Qingshuang's subordinates. Some of them were beaten up and ran away from Hudong City. Of course, there were still some people who gritted their teeth and sought refuge with other big gang leaders. A week later, the medicinal cuisine restaurant was finally renovated. Ruan Qingshuang and Su Yun weren't people who cared about auspicious days, so they didn't ask a fortune teller to calculate it. They decided to open for business that night. How could the three tigers of Nanqing not support Sister Shuang's opening? With their connections, many people had heard about Ruan Qingshuang's medicinal cuisine restaurant. The three tigers of Nanqing were convinced that Sister Shuang's opening was auspicious. Naturally, the restaurant was as busy as a marketplace. Flower baskets and so on almost blocked the door of the shop next door. However, the owner of the shop next door didn't dare to say anything because the group of people who came didn't look like good people. Su Yun didn't expect the three tigers of Nanqing to make such a big fuss. He and Ruan Qingshuang had the same attitude. They took the opportunity to publicize and strive for more people to notice the medicinal cuisine. In this way, they could consider the next step of joining the chain. Chou Yun wasn't interested in this. She also didn't like this kind of noisy environment with so many people. However, seeing that there were eyes and ears everywhere, she felt much less uneasy. At least these people could help her notice the appearance of strangers. She had also asked the three tigers of Nanqing to tell their underlings as soon as they saw a man with dark red hair and a face full of beard. Even if it was early in the morning, they had to tell her as soon as possible. Qin Weiner almost called the police when she saw the lively scene in the medicinal cuisine restaurant after work. This was simply a big gang gathering. At first glance, the people who came to support were not ordinary people. Bald heads, tattoos, gold necklaces, these were all signs of the underworld. But after all, this was Sister Shuang's medicinal cuisine restaurant. She had to endure it. Alas, among all the people, the happiest was Guogua. When she sat down at the newly decorated front desk, Dan Hongning immediately put a red account book on the table. Then he took out 10,000 yuan as a betrothal gift. He also asked his underlings to hang a custom-made deer head on the left side of the entrance hall. It was called, "There is a way to make money, dear." Of course, Kong Zhong couldn't be cold. He had to give 10,000 yuan as a betrothal gift. The gift he gave was not bad either. It was a pure copper golden toad with a diameter of half a meter, with a big copper coin inlaid with gold in its mouth. It was quite domineering when it was placed on the front desk. It was quite attractive. Although LV Feng was usually a rough man, he absolutely put in a lot of effort in the opening of the big sister's business. Of course, the betrothal gift was indispensable. He gave an elephant with a jade cabbage on its back. The meaning was very clear: good luck and wealth. In addition to the three of them, there were many people who had connections through them, or even more distant connections. As long as they were people of society, they wouldn't come empty-handed. Guogua was receiving money at the front desk. Her face was smiling like a flower, but Qin Wan'er kept rolling her eyes. She felt that these people's money was dirty money. Hearing that the medicinal cuisine restaurant was opening, Chang asked Xiaofei and Zhaopeng to take care of the branch. He also hurried back. Seeing that the medicinal cuisine restaurant was so crowded, he was very excited. The business of the medicinal cuisine restaurant that Su Yun asked them to take care of was very good. It was estimated that they would be able to make a profit soon. Hey, wait! Guogua's eyes were sharp. She directly stopped Chang, who was about to go in for a visit. Chang walked to the front desk with a smile. He looked at Guogua and Qin Wan'er and said, "Guogua, Sister Qin, what are you two doing here?" Guogua knocked on the account book on the table with a pen. She coughed softly, stretched out her small pink hand, and gently rubbed her 3 chubby fingers. "What do you think I'm doing?" Chang suddenly understood. He quickly took out his wallet. The 5,000 yuan turnover of the branch in Hongnan district had not been deposited yet. He directly put it into the account. "Hey, isn't it too little?" Guogua was obviously not satisfied. She pointed at the 3 tigers of Nanqing and said, "The 3 of them are all 10,000 yuan. Guogua, take pity on me." Chang looked sad. "Look at my car, look at theirs." Guogua waved her hand and said, forget it. Sai, they even called you Brother Chang." As soon as Guogua finished speaking, Lu Feng saw Chang and quickly waved. "Brother Chang, you're here. Haha, come here. There's an acquaintance here. Little Boo, who helped you deal with the car last time, is here." Chang's eyes lit up when he heard that. The business of the medicinal cuisine restaurant in Hongnan district was so good, and Brother Yun had promised him 70% of the profits. It was time for him to change his car. He happened to meet a foot soldier, so he wanted to have a good chat with him, and see if he could get him a cheaper car to play with. Su Yun's attitude towards these people was very open. Since they were all here, they were all friends. Dan Hongning brought his 3 medicinal cuisine chefs over. The small medicinal cuisine restaurant opened up immediately, and one after another, delicious dishes were presented in front of everyone. Guogua was counting the money happily. Everyone in the medicinal cuisine restaurant was laughing heartily and praising the medicinal cuisine. The medicinal cuisine restaurant reopened, and it was fighting again. A slightly disdainful chuckle came from the door. Guogua cleverly raised her head and stared at the old woman in front of her, who did not look like she was here to give betrothal gifts. Ruan Qingxuang looked at the door under the guidance of her 6th sense. Suddenly, her eyes widened. "Aunt Weng, why are you here? You've ruined my good house. Humph, how can you still be in the mood for such a big opening?" The woman looked to be in her 50s. The skin on her face was a little loose, but she was still wearing heavy makeup. She had huge crystal earrings, an exquisite platinum necklace, and an emerald jade bracelet on her wrist. Her luxurious clothes made her look very imposing and impressive. Ruan Qingxuang's face turned ugly. "Aunt Weng, it's not like that. The restaurant was smashed some time ago. I had no choice but to renovate it." The old woman called Aunt Weng by Ruan Qingxuang said calmly, "I don't care what your reason is. It's clearly written in the contract. You changed my house without my permission, so I have the right to take it back." "What? Take back the house?" Guogua glared at her and stood up at the front desk. "Wasn't this landlady too deceptive?" Ruan Qingxuang continued to explain. "I really didn't do it on purpose. I didn't want it to be like this. Hee, you even changed the floor tiles? It seems like you really think this is your own house?" Aunt Weng smiled. "Xiao Ruan, it's not that Aunt Weng is unreasonable. I'm just following the contract. I'll take back the house. You can move out tomorrow." Ruan Qingxuang suddenly felt like she was struck by lightning. Move out? Move to where? Without waiting for Ruan Qingxuang to speak again, Aunt Weng suddenly raised her voice and shouted to the people in the room. "Everyone listen up. Today I, Weng Qing, will take back this house. If anyone breaks anything inside, don't blame me for being merciless." Weng Qing. Originally, the hundreds of people in Hudong City's South 2 district were chatting and laughing but they all fell silent in an instant. Everyone's eyes seemed to be attracted by a magnet, directly locking onto the charming old woman at the door. Soo-Yun frowned. He walked out of the kitchen. It was really one wave after another. Who was this woman? Chang's jaw almost fell to the ground. Why would the wife of Hudong City's big boss, Jin Biao, appear here? And she said she was here to take back the house. He was surprised that the owner of this house was Wang Qing. This woman was not simple. Although she was 50 years old, she still had the charm to control Jin Biao. She could tacitly agree to Jin Biao playing with women outside, but she would never let Jin Biao keep half a woman outside. Chapter 55. What can you do if we don't move? Soo-Yun walked out of the kitchen and refused the landlady's request. You're an old auntie. Don't you know that you have to be kind? Accumulate some good karma for yourself, and leave some good fortune for your children and grandchildren. Wang Qing was Jin Biao's wife. She was one of the few people in Hudong City who could do whatever she wanted. The three tigers of Nanqing were the best in this group of people, but only in the Wenhui district and Hongnan district. Compared to Wang Xuanxi and Fan Nanjia, they were a little worse. But even those two people were not enough in Wang Qing's eyes. Now, Soo-Yun actually said that she was an old auntie, and even said that she was wicked. TSK, it was obvious that she wasn't going to give her any face. Wang Qing's calm face slowly turned red. She almost gritted her teeth. Good boy, the person who dares to talk to me like that hasn't been born yet. Auntie Wang, give me a chance to explain this matter. Ruan Qingshuang did not want to offend the landlady. When she rented the house, it was not expensive. She really did not want to move, and she had just spent so much money on renovations. Explain? It's useless to explain anything to me. Wang Qing said coldly. Tomorrow, if you're still here, don't blame me for being ruthless. Ruan Qingshuang was anxious. She raised her voice and shouted at Wang Qing. Listen to my explanation. This really scared Wang Qing. Other than Soo-Yun and Cho-Yun, everyone else was shocked. Guogua had never seen her mother like this. She quickly hid in Qin Wan-er's arms, which made Soo-Yun jealous. Wang Qing sneered. You're angry with me? Xiao Ruan, when I rented the house for you, you weren't so angry. It seems that you're all grown up now. It's not like that. Ruan Qingshuang also realized how loud she was just now, and was secretly surprised. There's no need to explain. She's not here to listen to your explanation. She's here to collect the house. Soo-Yun stepped forward and shielded the weak Ruan Qingshuang behind him. Even without this reason, she can still find other reasons. After saying that, Soo-Yun looked at Wang Qing. Am I right, auntie? Let's see if you can still keep your mouth shut tomorrow. Humph. Wang Qing almost hated Soo-Yun to the bone. She hated men calling her old the most. With a snort, Wang Qing swung her hand, turned around and walked out. She got into a white Lexus and left. The originally cheerful atmosphere in the medicinal cuisine house became particularly depressing and gloomy. Ruan Qingshuang seemed to take a long time to calm herself down. She raised an aggrieved face and finally couldn't help but look at Soo-Yun with tears in her eyes. Soo-Yun, what should I do? Help me. Of course you're my boss. If I don't help you, who should I help? Soo-Yun was still smiling casually. Then he winked at Guogua and Qin Wan-er. Qin Wan-er quickly ran over. Sister Shuang, you must be tired these days. Let's go upstairs. By the way, Mom, you haven't checked Guogua's homework. Guogua was also very sensible. After Qin Wan-er and Ruan Qingshuang went upstairs, the three tigers of Southern City and other people couldn't sit still. Brother Yin, she's the woman of Jin Biao, the boss of Dongdong. She's not to be trifled with. Dan Hongning frowned. I didn't expect this to be her house. Lu Feng cursed. F***ck, it seems that Jin Biao and Wang Qing have long wanted to interfere in our southern region. That's right. Kong Zhong also sucked in a breath of cold air. Wang Xuanxi and Fan Nanjia failed one after another. The entire underworld thinks that we have no leader. Although Sister Shuang's name is not weak now, she's still a newcomer. Those bosses won't take her seriously. Wang Qing might have come because she heard about the changes in our southern region. Qiangzi finally calmed down. So she's really here to pick a fight? Su Yun's mouth slightly raised. Of course she came prepared. She wasn't surprised to see a group of people like you gathered in the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Obviously she already knew about it. Then she still dares to come alone? Chang gritted his teeth. F***ck, she's looking down on us. She came alone. Do you dare to touch her? Su Yun threw out a very simple question. Everyone was stunned. They swallowed and lowered their heads. Indeed, no matter how arrogant Wen Qing was, they didn't dare to touch her. After all, she was Jin Biao's wife. No one wanted to be enemies with the boss of Donghai. Chang didn't say anything for a long time. Brother Yun's words were too direct. It made him lose face. Kong Zhong weakly asked, Brother Yin, what do we do? Do we have to move as soon as we open? This question was too cruel. If they didn't want to offend Jin Biao, what else could they do but move? Brother, we definitely won't move. Su Yun's words were straightforward. Brother, are we really going to go against Jin Biao? Lu Feng spread his right thumb and index finger and said with a lingering fear, Jin Biao has a lot of real guns. He shot a lot of people. Dan Hongning also withered at this topic. Our southern region is the weakest in Hudong City. If we really fight, we'll definitely be at a disadvantage. I have 2 homemade guns, but if we use them, the police. Kong Zhong couldn't help but look at the stairs. Can Officer Qin protect us? If you dare to shoot, she'll dare to arrest you. Hurry up and hand over your stupid gun. Su Yun waved his hand. That's the future. You guys eat and play. This has nothing to do with you. After a pause, Su Yun continued. Also, no one needs to bring anyone tomorrow. Do you understand? Such courage. It was really convincing. Wang Qing had already come to their door and was going to take the pot tomorrow. Now Su Yun could still say such words. How could this group of fierce people not be convinced? They didn't even dare to provoke someone, but in Su Yun's eyes it was still nothing. Sometimes a person's courage could really affect a group of people. No one knew who went to buy the wine, but hundreds of people surrounded Su Yun and toasted him. They drank for 2 or 3 hours and seemed to have forgotten the threat from Jin Biao's wife, Wang Qing. Cho Yun returned to the medicinal cuisine house, after ensuring the safety of the surroundings. At this time, Su Yun was already drunk. After all, hundreds of people were toasting him. Even the god of wine had a limit, but Su Yun was also a human. Enough! Cho Yun suddenly said sternly. If you're not afraid of dying, let him continue to drink. The Fox Venerable's anger was naturally terrifying. The 3 tigers of Southern City looked at each other, and then said to the crowd, let's call it a day. Everyone has eaten and drunk enough. Sister Shuang needs to rest. Brother Yin is almost done drinking. Let's all go. The crowd dispersed and the medicinal cuisine house finally returned to peace. Sister Yin, let's send Brother Yun upstairs. Kong Zhong and Dan Hongning propped Su Yun up. They thought to themselves that Brother Yun's body didn't look that stout, but they never expected him to be so heavy. It took a lot of effort for the 2 of them. They even needed Lu Feng to support him from behind. Cho Yun said coldly. There was no need. She walked over and supported the drunk Su Yun with one hand. You all can go. The 3 of them didn't say any more nonsense and quickly left. Cho Yun took Su Yun upstairs. Ruan Qingshuang and Qin Waner didn't sleep because of their thoughts. Guogua had already gone to bed to argue with Uncle Zhou. Ruan Qingshuang was angry and distressed when she saw Su Yun drunk like this. Qin Waner kicked Su Yun's foot and said, You are really useless. Why did you drink so much? Don't talk about it. I will get some hot honey to sober him up. Ruan Qingshuang got up and was about to get busy. No need. Cho Yun said. I have a way to make him sober up faster. After that, Cho Yun went straight to the bathroom. She opened the door and threw Su Yun under the shower. Without saying anything, she turned on the cold water and left. She slammed the door shut. F***ck. Su Yun shivered from the cold water. Cho Yun actually saw through him. Alas, Su Yun sighed. He had no choice but to pretend to be drunk. Otherwise, he would have been drunk by that group of people. After Cho Yun went out, she said to Ruan Qingshuang and Qin Waner, Go to sleep. He will be fine in a while. Hearing Cho Yun's words, the two nodded suspiciously. Soo Yun adjusted the water temperature, took off his clothes and took a comfortable bath. He didn't worry about what the landlady would do tomorrow. Anyway, he would never give in. If that woman dared to play hard, then don't blame him for not being polite. After taking a bath, Soo Yun thought of a problem. Cho Yun, this bastard, didn't care about him. She threw him in and turned on the water, but didn't give him a clean change of clothes. Did she want him to go out naked? Alas, Soo Yun wiped off the water droplets on his body. He was secretly glad that they were asleep at this time. Otherwise, how could he go out? Soo Yun, who returned to his primitive clothes, quickly opened the door of the bathroom, and then tiptoed back to his room. The whole process was smooth. How could he have known that Ruan Qingshuang had left the door ajar, and kept an eye on the outside because she was worried? So, Ruan Qingshuang saw Soo Yun's every move, every frown, every smile, and every step. Until Soo Yun disappeared from his room, Ruan Qingshuang suddenly came back to her senses, and quickly closed the door of the room. It was as if a fawn had barged into her heart, and was beating non-stop. Just now, she actually saw a naked Soo Yun, and she stared at Soo Yun until the door closed and he disappeared. When did she become so? Ruan Qingshuang's mind was blank for a moment. Mom. Guogua suddenly opened her mouth, startling Ruan Qingshuang. Guogua, why aren't you asleep yet? Ruan Qingshuang was still in shock, and then her eyes widened. You didn't see anything just now, right? Guogua looked puzzled. What's wrong, Mom? Hearing Guogua say that she didn't see anything, Ruan Qingshuang was relieved. It's nothing. Go to sleep. You still have to wake up early for school tomorrow. Guogua turned over and said indifferently, Dad just came out naked after taking a shower. What's there to be embarrassed about? It's dark and I can't see anything clearly. Chapter 56. The white Lexus drove into a high-end residential area in Wenhui district called Waterfront Upper Courtyard. Following closely behind, a very domineering black Toyota Prado also followed in. The noble Wang Qing got out of the car and looked at the back with love in her eyes. A pompous young man got out of the black Prado. He was wearing fashionable clothes, and his hair was permed in layers. He wore earrings, bracelets, and big pendants. He wore everything that he could wear. He looked like a visual rock star. Mom, do you really want to take over the southern part of Hudong City? The young man got out of the car and walked up to Wang Qing with a smile. Wang Qing smiled and said to her son, Of course. It's always been my idea to let you take over the southeastern part of Hudong City. This way, our Jin family will have 40% of the power in Hudong City. I'd like to see who dares to go against us in the future. The young man smiled bitterly. Me? Mom, are you looking for an excuse to kick me out of the house? Wang Qing glared at her son and said calmly, After Fan Nanjia's failure, there were no more powerful people in the southeastern part of Hudong City. I thought it was time for our Jin family to expand our power, but I heard someone say that there was a new rising star. I was wondering who it was, but I didn't expect it to be her. Ooh. The young man raised his eyebrows and looked curious. He took out a cigarette from his pocket and lit it leisurely. Wang Qing looked at her son with displeasure, but she didn't care. Do you remember the house I bought when I wanted to set foot in the southeastern part of Hudong City? Yes, I remember. The young man nodded and looked reluctant. Didn't you rent the house to someone else last year? Hee Mom, I came with you. Of course I remember. Wang Qing glared at her son again. I think you remember the woman who rented the house, right? The young man didn't deny it at all. He even started to read a poem shamelessly. Doves and doves are in the middle of the river. A fair lady is a gentleman's dream. I really did like her. Mom, if you hadn't stopped me, I would have. Seeing the anger on Wang Qing's face, the young man didn't continue. Let me tell you, that woman wants to be the leader of the southeastern part of Hudong City. Wang Qing sneered. Do you still dare to look down on her? What? The young man's face changed and he put away his cynical look. You said that woman wants to take over the Southeast River District? Mom, did you make a mistake? It's that woman. She looks so weak. Wang Qing snorted. I hope I'm wrong, But I went there today. Her medicinal cuisine restaurant has reopened. Most of the capable people in the southeast area of the river went to congratulate her, including the 3 tigers of South City. Hearing this, the young master sneered. Southern City's 3 tigers. I think it's Southern City's 3 dogs. Tomorrow, I want you to take back the house. Gong Qing indifferently said. Remember, from now on, the southeast riverside will be the sphere of influence of our Jin family. If anyone dares to meddle in other people's business tomorrow, then let them know that Jin Biao has an even more ruthless son called Jin Wenwu. The young man revealed a cynical smile. Mom, don't make me sound so scary. I haven't had a girlfriend yet. I'll stay here today. You go and do your thing. I'll call you tomorrow morning. Wang Qing indifferently said, and then reminded him. Go to sleep at night. Don't mess around with your master all day. Jin Wenwu smiled. I know, Mom. The huge Prado drove away. Wang Qing turned and walked into the building. The house here was the same as the door. She had bought it 2 years ago. 2 years ago, she had included the southeast riverside in the sphere of influence of the Jin family. However, due to the local tyrant Wang Xuanxi's many years of foundation, as well as the new rising star Fan Nanjia's valiant way of doing things, Wang Qing never had a chance. Originally, she had asked Jin Biao to secretly support Fan Nanjia, wanting to turn Fan Nanjia into her family's puppet. However, she did not expect that the western districts Wu Lei and the northern districts Ma Pinghai were secretly supporting Fan Nanjia. Wang Qing was about to give up on the idea of taking over the southeast riverside, but she didn't expect that Wang Xuanxi and Fan Nanjia would fail one after another. She thought that Su Yanqing would stand up and take over the banner of the southeast riverside, but she didn't expect that woman to suddenly disappear. In the following week, the name Ruan Qingshuang spread throughout Hedong City. Wang Qing couldn't believe that the weak woman who had rented her house last year was the big sister of this new force. Since that was the case, Wang Qing couldn't blame her for being ruthless. If she wanted to take over Hedong City, she had to take over the Wenhui and Hongnan districts first. That night, Ruan Qingshuang barely slept. Her mind was filled with the image she had seen through the crack in the door. What she was most worried about was that Guogua had found out. If Guogua brought up this matter in front of everyone, she would be too ashamed to face anyone in the future. That night, Ruan Qingshuang tossed and turned. She could only pray that Guogua would forget everything that happened the next morning. Ruan Qingshuang didn't feel sleepy until 5 in the morning. She had just fallen asleep, so she didn't even notice that Guogua had woken up. Fortunately, Ruan Qingshuang hadn't woken up. Otherwise, she would have killed herself. After Guogua got out of bed and washed up, the first thing she did was run to Su Yun. Dad, I have something to tell you, but you have to give me 100 yuan for the information. No problem. Su Yun took out 100 yuan and handed it to Guogua. He was quite interested in this guy's information. Guogua proudly took the money and looked around. When she saw that no one was around, she said to Su Yun, Dad, last night after you took a shower, you walked out naked. Mom saw everything. She was so excited that she couldn't sleep the whole night. Su Yun was stunned for a long time. Was this information really worth 100 yuan? But this was too scary. He was so careful, but he was still seen by others? Don't tell Mom. She threatened me in her sleep last night. I can't tell anyone. Guogua patted her chest with lingering fear. She looked like she had lived a hard life. Is it easy to earn 100 yuan? It's too easy, isn't it? Su Yun didn't say these words. He grabbed Guogua and said, Guogua, I'll give you another 100 yuan. Don't mention this to anyone in the future. How about it? Guogua shook her head very happily. No, then I'll pay for it. I think Sister Wan and Sister Cho Yun will be willing to pay 100 yuan for such gossip. Damn. Should I say that you have a good economic brain? Or that you're born to be a paparazzi? Su Yun really wanted to bang his head against the wall and die. Of course, it was impossible for Cho Yun to be interested in this kind of gossip. After she was ready, she looked at her watch and came out of the room. She said to Guogua concisely, It's time. Let's go to school. Sister Cho Yun, I have something to tell you. Guogua repeated what she said to Su Yun. I'm not interested. Cho Yun refused immediately. It was not that she didn't want to give Guogwa face, but she heard it in the room just now. When Guogwa said it, she didn't mean to lower her voice at all. As soon as the two of them came out of the medicinal cuisine house, Chin Wan-er walked out of the bathroom with her hands on her stomach and laughed. Ha ha ha, Soo-yun, you were embarrassed yesterday and were seen by Sister Frost. Ha ha ha. Let's see how you behave in the future. Soo-yun snorted and said disapprovingly, I'm a man. What's wrong? You didn't see it and you're jealous? Just tell me if you want to see it. I'm a very open-minded person. Get out. Chin Wan-er directly threw the towel in her hand. You'd better think about how to deal with the landlady. Soo-yun dodged sideways. By the way, the landlady seems to be very powerful. Don't you know her? No, I don't know her. Chin Wan-er shook her head. The Eastern District of Hudong City was under the jurisdiction of Jingxian District Police Station and Nantua District Police Station. Chin Wan-er only knew that there was a boss in the Eastern District of Hudong City called Jin Biao, but she didn't know that Wang Qing was Jin Biao's wife. Soo-yun shrugged. Then I have to solve it myself. Chin Wan-er didn't understand what Soo-yun meant, and she didn't care what he would do. Because she didn't know who Wang Qing was, she didn't think of the worst. After Chin Wan-er left for work, the food delivery man also came. Soo-yun was busy as usual. He knew that Ruan Qingshuang didn't sleep well, so he didn't intend to wake her up. Maybe this was the best for her. If she fell asleep, she wouldn't have to worry about whether to move or not. In fact, Ruan Qingshuang had already woken up. Even if she didn't sleep well at night, she would have woken up at 8 o'clock in the morning. She didn't go out of the room just because she didn't know how to face it. If she didn't move, what would Auntie Wang do to her? As early as last year when she rented the house, Ruan Qingshuang knew that Wang Qing was not a simple woman. When she met Wang Qing brought 4 people, all of whom were tattooed with dragons and tigers, and there was a foppish disciple beside her, who kept teasing her. At that time, Ruan Qingshuang knew that Wang Qing was a woman with a powerful background. But because she was really optimistic about the location at that time, and the price was reasonable, she gritted her teeth and rented it for 2 years. She didn't expect that Wang Qing would take the house back after only 1 year. Soon what should come will come. Although Ruan Qingshuang had been praying that Wang Qing would let her go, she still heard the sound coming from downstairs. Yesterday's white Lexus was followed by several kinds of cars, all of which were parked in the open space in front of the medicinal cuisine house. Wang Qing was still in noble clothes, but there was a cynical young man beside her, followed by more than a dozen strong men. Wang Qing walked into the newly renovated medicinal cuisine house with familiarity and smiled at Soo-yun, who was waiting for her in front of the front desk. It seems that you are not going to move as I said? Soo-yun nodded and smiled back at her. Auntie, didn't I say yesterday that we won't move until the contract expires? If you like the ground and style of the previous store, we will naturally change it back for you after the contract expires. Chapter 57. Soo-yun raised his eyes and glanced at Jin Wenwu, who was dressed extravagantly. Are you trying to scare me? You've got the wrong guy. Jin Wenwu's cheekbone muscles twitched. As the prince of the Eastern District of Hudong City, he had never been looked down upon like this. Besides, even if he didn't have Jin Biao, he could still be respected by thousands of people. Help them move. Wang Qing didn't give her son a chance to continue talking. She waved her hand, and a dozen burly men broke into the restaurant. They came aggressively, as if they were trying to destroy the restaurant. Ruan Qingshuang's painstaking efforts were destroyed by the 4th Wolf Gang 10 days ago. 10 days later, someone wanted to destroy it again. Soo-yun certainly wouldn't agree. Now, unless Ruan Qingshuang said she didn't want the restaurant anymore, Soo-yun would never allow anyone to destroy it. Not to mention that the lease hadn't expired yet. Even if it had, he wouldn't leave such an unkind landlady. A fierce murderous aura suddenly rolled up like a stormy sea and attacked the group of burly men who had barged into the medicinal cuisine house. The group of burly men instantly felt a bone-piercing chill. Under the pressure of Soo-yun's majestic aura, they couldn't even move their feet. This aura was too terrifying. Jin Wenwu's face darkened. Although he also felt a chill in his heart, he didn't lose his fighting spirit. After all, he had been thrown to the underground master by Wang Qing for many years to gain experience. He had seen some of the so-called masters. However, Jin Wenwu didn't seem to know that the so-called masters were also divided into levels. Relying on his years of training, he fearlessly launched a sneak attack and kicked Su Yun's left ear. Su Yun subconsciously blocked Jin Wenwu's sneak attack with his left arm, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He didn't expect this guy to be a little interesting. No wonder the Jin family had the ambition to expand their power. It turned out that they had a son who had learned some skills. After that kick, the calmness on Jin Wenwu's face visibly lessened. He did not expect that his full-strength kick could not even move the opponent a bit. This rustic skinny guy in front of him could actually laugh. Perhaps he was really unwilling to give up. Jin Wenwu punched again. Su Yun raised his left wrist and casually blocked Jin Wenwu's fist. Almost at the same time, his right fist blasted out. In an instant, all the explosive power was concentrated on Jin Wenwu's chest. A burst of pressure made him almost unable to breathe. Su Yun didn't intend to give him room to maneuver. He went straight in and punched Jin Wenwu's head without hesitation. Although Jin Wenwu's chest was hit hard, he still kept his head clear and dodged sideways. However, Su Yun changed his fist into a palm and chopped Jin Wenwu's neck. This chop was so powerful that Jin Wenwu staggered and fell to the ground heavily. Su Yun did not intend to stop. He rushed forward like lightning and kicked Jin Wenwu's ribs. Jin Wenwu flew out of the medicinal cuisine restaurant and fell heavily at the door. A mouthful of blood spurted out of his mouth. Wang Qing's face was full of panic. She couldn't believe it. The master she hired for her son was Zuolong, an absolutely powerful person. Moreover, her son had indeed grown a lot in the past few years with Zuolong. She wanted to rely on her son to dominate Hudong City. "I'm going to kill you." Jin Wenwu, who was kicked out of the door by Su Yun, struggled to get up. His eyes were fixed on Su Yun. He was like an injured beast without intelligence. Even if he was covered in scars, he still wanted to fight to the death. Jin Wenwu struggled to stand and walked into the medicinal cuisine restaurant. His eyes were vicious. Wang Qing was so shocked that her mind was in a mess. She did not even stop her son from going to his death. "You want to die? I'll fulfill your wish." Su Yun had no intention of playing with him anymore. He thought this guy had some skills, but he did not expect him to not even reach the level of a third-rate beginner. Jin Wenwu suddenly opened his arms and rushed at Su Yun at an amazing speed. He opened his mouth, revealing a row of unusually sharp teeth. It seemed that he was going to bite Su Yun's throat. As expected, Su Yun's heavy fist, which contained the 100-wist stacking strength, directly hit Jin Wenwu's face. His body, which was whistling through the air, flew backwards like a kite with its string cut, and fell to the ground. This punch was the final nail in the coffin. In Su Yun's eyes, Jin Wenwu was obviously a moth flying into a flame. When Jin Wenwu was about to bite him, Su Yun thought of a person in the underworld, hyena. The dozens of burly men's faces changed. The crown prince in their eyes was not an ordinary playboy. Usually he fought as fiercely as a tiger. He would almost instantly kill the average hooligan. But in front of this person, he did not even have the chance to fight back. Suddenly, the door of Jin Wenwu's black Prado opened. A pair of shiny leather shoes stepped out, followed by a tall and skinny figure. Wang Qing suddenly came back to her senses. She ran out like a madwoman and picked up her half-dead son. She angrily said to the tall and skinny man in front of her, "Zuolong, I gave you so much money. My son was almost beaten to death, and you only came out now." The tall and skinny man's face was full of stubble. He looked like he had a hangover. "You gave me money to be your son's master. I took him to train. It's normal for him to be beaten. He won't die. I told you to kill the person inside." Wang Qing loved her son very much. Seeing her son beaten up like this by Su Yun, her heart was filled with resentment. She wanted nothing more than to tear Su Yun to pieces. The tall and skinny man's voice suddenly turned cold. "Do you think I'm your family's servant?" Wang Qing suddenly reacted. She didn't have the qualifications to order the person in front of her. She instantly put away her domineering expression and begged, "Zuolong, I'll pay. 1 million. Kill the person inside and I'll give you 1 million." Su Yun had already walked out of the medicinal cuisine restaurant. He smiled and said, 1 million? Damn, am I so worthless? Then, Su Yun looked at the tall and skinny man and said with some disdain, Hyena, I advise you not to take this job. The tall and skinny man suddenly trembled. The hangover on his face completely disappeared. He stared at the seemingly insignificant person in front of him in surprise. Who are you? It doesn't matter who I am. Su Yun waved his hand and said disapprovingly, but I advise you not to do anything stupid. It's not worth it to lose your life for such a small amount of money. The tall and skinny man was called Zwolong. He used to be a well-known figure in the underground world. He was ruthless enough and was given the title of hyena. However, he disappeared a few years ago. Back then, Su Yun's place had always been in conflict with many underground world organizations. Naturally, he knew a lot of people in the underground world. Hyena had once caused a big trouble in the underground world. After a bounty was placed on his head, he disappeared. Who would have thought that he would be reduced to the point of being a tutor? Humph, I was too lazy to kill you, but you're courting death. Zwolong's eyes revealed brutality, like a ferocious hyena. Those who know of my existence must all die. Su Yun's eyes narrowed slightly and a biting cold aura burst out. A mere second-rate cultivator dared to speak such arrogant words. Su Yun certainly wanted to let him know what courting death meant. The soles of Zwolong's feet were filled with majestic power. Suddenly, he rushed towards Su Yun like an arrow and aimed at Su Yun's face. That speed absolutely shocked everyone. No one had thought that such a thin and weak body could actually erupt with such a huge power. However, Su Yun was not careless. His figure flashed and easily dodged Zwolong's attack. Taking advantage of the momentum, he kicked up Zwolong's body, causing him to lose balance. Su Yun suddenly slammed down with his arm. Zwolong's tall and skinny body directly smashed onto the concrete floor. When he turned over and wanted to stand up, Su Yun had suddenly grabbed his neck with lightning speed. Not giving him a chance to breathe, Su Yun's right fist directly smashed toward his face. A real expert could see that if Su Yun had only used half of his strength to deal with Jin Wonwoo, then he had definitely used half of his strength to deal with Zwolong. Su Yun was very clear that although Zwolong's strength was one level lower than his, he never had the habit of looking down on his opponents. This was because his master had said that as long as the opponent was an expert who had just entered the door, if you dared to look down on him, he would have the ability to hurt you. Zwolong only felt that the pressure on his throat made him unable to breathe. His entire face quickly turned the color of a marinated eggplant. Soon, his retinas were heavily burdened and the blood vessels in his eyes were congested. A stream of heat rushed up from the top of his head. He used all his strength to try to pry open Su Yun's pincer-like fingers. His legs kicked wildly in the air. Even though his jaw was almost dislocated, only a little of the air he breathed in could reach his lungs. Zwolong only felt that his internal organs were twisted together, and a strong premonition of death arose spontaneously. Su Yun suddenly lifted Zwolong up, and suddenly raised his leg to kick Zwolong's lower abdomen. The nearly 1.8 m tall man was bent into a section and flew out, heavily crashing into the body of the Black Prado. The behemoth was almost overturned by the collision. Zwolong collapsed on the ground and coughed violently. He even forgot about the tearing pain all over his body. He greedily took in large mouthfuls of air. Hundreds of millions of red blood cells carrying oxygen broke through the loosened arteries and rushed to his brain, limbs, and all the organs in his body. When he was sure that he was still alive, Su Yun was already standing in front of him. The strong sense of fear suppressed Zwolong's fingers and made them tremble. He was not the opponent of the person in front of him at all. The strength of the person in front of him was far beyond him. Didn't I say it before? It's not worth it to lose your life for such a small amount of money. Su Yun said to Zwolong indifferently, I won't kill you, but you can kill the woman who almost killed you. Hearing this, Zwolong first came back to his senses, and then his sharp eyes suddenly shot toward Wang Qing. His stare made Wang Qing shiver all over. That was a murderous gaze. Wang Qing no longer had that arrogant and domineering expression. Her legs went soft, and she almost knelt on the ground. However, if that woman wants to transfer the ownership of this house to me, you absolutely can't touch her. Su Yin changed the topic and slapped Zwileng hard on the face. What do you think? Zwileng did not have any objections. He nodded and said, Wenqing was relieved. Her voice trembled. I'll go back to get the property certificate right away. I'll transfer the ownership to you right away. She was facing a monster who could kill a demon-level character in her eyes. Between life and money, Wenqing did not hesitate to choose life. If she was alive, everything would be fine. If she was dead, what was there to think about? As the saying goes, a bad life is better than a good death. Chapter 58. Wan Qingshuang finally gathered her courage. She had to stand up and protect her own interests. Even if the other party was not a simple woman, she had to tell her that she would not move. Sister Shuang, you're up. Before Wan Qingshuang could go downstairs, Su Yin came upstairs. How did you sleep last night? Wan Qingshuang thought of last night, and her face turned red. She panicked and said, It was okay. Why are you here? Where are Auntie Wang and the others? They left, Su Yin said casually. When she heard Su Yin say that, Wan Qingshuang's face quickly darkened. Did you agree to let them move out? Su Yin shook his head. How could I? Of course I won't move. I'll buy this place. Wan Qingshuang froze for a long time. She did not understand what Su Yin meant. You buy this place? Buy it. This place will be ours from now on. If you want to open a shop, then open a shop. If you don't want to open a shop, then rent it out. Su Yin did not feel any pressure at all. He looked relaxed. You won't have to deduct the rent from the money you earn in the future. Haha. I'll go to the real estate lobby later to settle the transfer. Wan Qingshuang could not take it anymore. She stared at him with her almond eyes. Where did you get so much money? Although Hudong City was not as scary as places like Yanjing and Jiangbei where the housing prices were several tens of thousands per square meter, a two-story house of 500 to 600 square meters was definitely a scary number. It was impossible to buy it without at least a few million. I have enough in my pocket. Su Yin weakly took out 100 yuan. Wan Qingshuang was worried to death. Su Yin, I'm not in the mood to joke with you right now. Suddenly, Chang's voice came from downstairs. Brother Yin. Brother Yin. Brother Yin. Come down. F***CK. You're squealing like a pig being slaughtered. Su Yin scolded and ran downstairs. Chang was dressed in casual pants, a short-sleeved shirt tucked into his waist, and a pair of shiny leather shoes. He was no longer the little ruffian he used to be. No matter how one looked at him, he looked like a promising young man who was just starting his career. Clothes make the man. Behind Chang was a shiny black Volkswagen Passat with a 67,888 license plate, which made Chang look even more handsome and mighty. Changed your car? Su Yin asked, how much is it? Chang chuckled and raised 3 fingers. 30,000. Yesterday, the infantryman who came with Lu Feng did a black car in the south. The registration and license plates were all fake. The frame number was redone and the engine number was changed. That guy is quite capable. Su Yin looked inside and out. This car was at least 95% new. It was a 2.0T Supreme Edition. If he bought a new car, he would have to pay at least 300,000 renminbi after tax and insurance. Chang got it for only 30,000 renminbi. It was simply too profitable. What about your Shenlong Citroën? Su Yin asked. Chang waved his hand. That broken thing. I originally wanted to sell it to the infantryman. He didn't want to pay for it. He said it took up space. Later, I will find a place to sell it. If I can sell it for 1,000 renminbi, I will sell it for 1,000 renminbi. F***CK. Su Yin poked Chang's forehead with his finger. Your brother am still walking. You don't want to send me? Are you going to sell it? Chang was stunned for a long time. He tried hard to understand. Brother Yin was asking for a car from him. Brother, you drive that car? It's too cheap. How about? After making a big decision, Chang said. How about you drive this Passat? I'll drive my Citroën. No need. Let's go. Take me to drive your Citroën. Soo-Yun didn't care about the car, as long as he had one to ride on a daily basis. Besides, if he really wanted to drive a luxury car, Soo-Yun wouldn't take a fancy to a street car like the Passat. Nowadays, even the village secretary's car was more advanced than this. Chang responded and took Soo-Yun home directly. Wan Qingshuang was speechless. She thought that the medicinal cuisine house would definitely not be quiet today. She didn't expect that there was no one there. Cho Yun sent Guogua to school early in the morning. Qin Waner also went to work. Auntie Wang, who came to collect the house, inexplicably left. Soo-Yun also ran away with Chang. Wan Qingshuang was the only one left in the medicinal cuisine house. Fortunately, Wan Qingshuang used to run the restaurant alone. She had long been used to being busy alone. She didn't panic at all, and went directly to the kitchen to wash the vegetables and prepare the ingredients. Soo-Yun and Chang returned to the shanty town where he lived. Many of the old families in the shanty town sat on the roadside or at the door. When they saw Chang's new car, they praised Chang for being promising and capable. Soo-Yun, on the other hand, was obviously met with a lot of rolling eyes. He was regarded as Chang's unreliable little brother, and he even drove his car. This Citroën, which was more than 10 years old, drove Soo-Yun straight to the real estate transaction hall. Wang Qing was indeed honest and trustworthy. She took the real estate certificate and waited for Soo-Yun there. It wasn't that she didn't want to run, but she knew very well how powerful the person who could defeat Zwileng was. If this kind of person wanted your life, it would be useless even if you ran to the ends of the earth. Therefore, Wang Qing was very cooperative. Spending money to avoid disaster was the most worry-free way. She finally understood why the weak Xiao Ruan who rented a house back then could become a crazy figure in the southeast district of Hudong district. It turned out that she had such a fierce general by her side. Wang Qing had already used her connections to find an acquaintance, and also paid an extra 300 yuan as an urgent fee. Therefore, the procedures were completed very quickly. The tax fees of the real estate transaction were all paid by Wang Qing alone. In the end, Soo-Yun generously gave Wang Qing 100 yuan. "Thank you for your hard work." Looking at the guy in front of her who could easily unify the southeast district of Hudong district, Wang Qing felt a burst of fear. If he wanted to expand his power, the Jin family would definitely be his first choice. She had to go back and have a good discussion with Jin Biao. They had to unite the Wu Lei of the western district and Ma Pinghai of the northern district. Otherwise, with the Jin family's own strength, it would be no different from a mantis trying to stop a car. Soo-Yun was in a good mood holding the brand new real estate certificate. He decided to take this thing out at night and let everyone have a good time. Wang Qing watched Soo-Yun leave before she dared to leave. She hurried back to the Hansheng district to pack up her necessities. She probably wouldn't dare to go to the Wenhui district for a while. After leaving the Hansheng district, Wang Qing went straight to the city hospital. Her son had been beaten up by that person with just a few punches and kicks. As a mother, she was so regretful that she wanted to commit suicide. How could she have provoked such a person that she shouldn't have provoked? Want to go to the medicinal cuisine house to buy the house? Suddenly, a bone-chilling voice sounded behind Wang Qing. Wang Qing's brain buzzed and she was stunned. Her hands trembled, and she directly drove the car into the green belt on the side of the road. Through the rearview mirror, Wang Qing saw a long-haired woman staring at her with a cold and arrogant face. The woman's gaze was as sharp as a knife and the cold blade in her hand flashed with silver light. "No. I don't dare. I don't dare to buy the house anymore. Please let me go." Wang Qing trembled all over. The murderous aura of this woman was even more terrifying than that of the pervert who easily dealt with Zwileng. "If you don't want to believe me, you can ask the chef of your restaurant. I've already transferred the house to him." Sitting in the back of the car, Cho Yun frowned slightly. She didn't expect Soo-Yun to act faster than her. After she dropped Guogua off at school, she immediately asked someone to inquire about Wang Qing's whereabouts. She arrived as soon as Wang Qing arrived at the Shuyan district. She didn't expect that Soo-Yun would have already solved the matter. Cho Yun pushed open the car door and walked away with light steps, leaving behind a trembling Wang Qing. Her face was ashen and her heart trembled. She didn't expect that Ruan Qingshuang, who looked like a soft persimmon, would have so many dangerous people around her. It seemed that an earth-shattering change was about to take place in the streets of Hudong City. For the whole day, the three tigers of Southern City were very obedient and no one caused any trouble. Although they really wanted to go to the medicinal cuisine house to see if anything happened, Su Yun had said yesterday that no one was allowed to bring anyone there. Su Yun's words were like a military order to them. If he was not allowed to go, no one dared to go. After 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Guoguo returned to the medicinal cuisine house with Cho Yun after school. Guoguo was very excited today. Fatty Sun Haoran, who hadn't come to school for a week, brought a bag of snacks to apologize to her. He also swore that he would never say anything about pursuing her again. Moreover, he followed Guoguo around like a little eunuch. Cho Yun was completely relieved after seeing that the medicinal cuisine house was safe and sound. It seemed that the old woman had really suffered a heavy blow from Su Yun. She just wanted to make sure that Su Yun had really robbed the front of the house. Ruan Qingshuang was busy taking care of the business. Su Yun was still cooking in the kitchen as usual. Qin Wan'er was not used to it when she came back from work. She hadn't done any chores for 10 days. Well, she had to go back to the basic level of the medicinal cuisine house today. After 3 hours, everyone was exhausted. Fortunately, Su Yun had prepared several delicious dishes for them. There was also a super surprise. Look at what this is. Su Yun had already taken out the real estate certificate of the front house as he spoke. Ruan Qingshuang was so shocked that her jaw almost dropped. In the morning, Su Yun said that he had bought the house. She didn't believe it at all. However, now that the real estate certificate was in front of her, what else could she doubt? Cho Yun's reaction was a little less. After all, she had heard the news from Wang Qing once. Now she just confirmed it. You bought this place? Qin Wan'er was also shocked. Not to mention that this was a commercial house, even if the lowest house price in Hudong City was 6,000 yuan. This two-story house with more than 500 square meters would cost 3 million yuan. Qin Wan'er stared at Su Yun. This guy's outfit was worth only 30 yuan. He didn't look like a guy who could take out 300 yuan, let alone 3 million yuan. Su Yun proudly pointed at the Shenlong Chevalier at the door. Also, Chang gave me the car. I will also have a car in the future. In the future, if anyone wants to go out for business, tell me and I will give her a ride. Everyone was petrified and speechless. Guoguo looked depressed. She had no interest in the car at all. She just took the real estate certificate and checked it carefully. Suddenly, Guoguo's eyes lit up. The certificate was real. She looked up at Ruan Qingshuang with expectation. Mom, when will you marry Dad? After marriage, this house will be shared property, right? Don't hesitate anymore. Sister Wan'er and Miss Su are very interested in Dad. If you are late, you won't have a chance. Everyone was petrified again. Qin Wan'er was full of murderous intent. Guo, which eye of yours saw that I was interested in Su Yun? See if I don't spank you. Sister Wan. Or are you angry because I saw through your thoughts? Sigh, women are just shy. What is there to be shy about? Chapter 59. The Wenhui district and Hongnan district of Hudong City were basically under the leadership of the three tigers of Nancheng. Everyone was worried that Wang Qing would take back the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Because of Su Yun's words, Dan Hongning sent one of his men to secretly inquire about it. When they heard that Su Yun had bought the medicinal cuisine restaurant, their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. When Wang Qing bought the front door of that place, it might not have been worth much, but after the city's construction of Iha Square and 3 large residential areas were built around it, the price of the house had definitely soared a lot. Even if they bought it all at once, it would be a bit of a hassle. Brother Yun is really rich. Lu Feng couldn't help but sigh with emotion. Sigh, comparing people to people is like comparing goods to goods. When he first saw Su Yun, he completely treated him as a low-class hoodlum. Now that he thought about it, it was really funny. Kong Zhong frowned. I feel that something is not right. Even if Wang Qing is stupid enough to sell the house, Jin Biao doesn't lack money. It seems that they want to expand their sphere of influence to the south. Why would they sell it? That makes sense. Dan Hongning nodded and said to the man, Are you sure Brother Yin wasn't joking when he said this? The man shook his head. I don't know about this. Right, my cousin works in the real estate industry. I'll call her and ask. Maybe she knows. Kong Zhong thought of this and walked out of the smoky room to make a phone call. A few minutes later, he came back with a face full of surprise. What? Did you get the answer? Lu Feng and Dan Hongning asked in unison. The whole real estate bureau heard that someone bought the front door for 100 yuan. Kong Zhong's face was full of exaggerated expression. That person was wearing colorful beach pants and a t-shirt with a skull on it. Who else could it be but Brother Yin? F***ck. Everyone was stunned. When the forest was big, there were all kinds of friends. Brother Yin even dared to take advantage of Wang Qing's real estate. Jin Biao definitely wouldn't let it go. Haha. Dan Hongning smiled bitterly. Brothers, when we followed Brother Yin, we embarked on a road of no return. Either you go to heaven, or you go to hell. Lu Feng gritted his teeth. What can we do now? Since Jin Biao dares to come, we can only fight with him. In Hudong City, Jin Biao was not a nobody like the three tigers of South City. It was definitely not luck that allowed him to dominate Hudong City's eastern district too. His deeds alone were enough to make the younger generation tremble in fear. 10 years ago, the gunfight on Tianhua Road shocked the entire city. There were dozens of cars and hundreds of people on each side. The boss of Tuashan district was killed on the spot. The police received the call but did not have the strength to do so. Jin Biao became famous in a single battle, and the Tuachuo Mountain District's Wangpu district was under his control. Everyone in Hudong City should remember the shotgun attack on the commercial street in Tuachuo Mountain 5 years ago, as well as the armed murder in Guangming Cinema in Jingxian District. These were big cases that shocked the whole city. It was the first high-profile attack by a foreign force in Hudong City's East 2nd District. In the end, the boss of a certain force was strangled to death on the 13th floor of the Xiangxi Hotel 3 days later, and his corpse was thrown off the building. Everyone knew who did it, but even the police couldn't find any evidence. Then Jin Biao's gang besieged a big hotel. In the end, the director of the Public Security Bureau personally stepped in, and the hotel's owner agreed to withdraw from Hudong City. Of course, because of this incident, the director of the Public Security Bureau was dismissed and replaced by a new Director Chen. Until Director Chen came, Jin Biao's gang did not make any big moves. Now, all the entertainment and bathing centers in East 2nd District were under Jin Biao's influence, and the busiest commercial street in Tuachuo Mountain District was also under his control. These were enough for him to make a fortune. Although Jin Biao did not make any big moves these years, his deeds were still remembered by people. Therefore, he was still the boss of Hudong City, one of the top 3 underworld leaders in Hudong City. He had almost no hair on his head, a flabby face, a slightly plump body, sword-like eyebrows, and a rosacea nose under his eyes. This was Jin Biao, a man who could control Hudong City's East 2nd District. The 50-year-old Jin Biao did not have the murderous aura of a young man. He knew that his wife and children had been defeated in the Wenhui district in the south, but he could still keep a calm face. Boss, just say the word, and I will immediately bring people to kill anyone who dares to go against us in the south. Zhao Sanlai had been with Jin Biao for 20 years. He had been with him since Jin Biao was a nobody. He could be said to be Jin Biao's most capable helper. Jin Biao took a sip of tea and frowned. After thinking for a long time, he said, "Didn't you hear what your sister-in-law said? She met a tough guy this time. Even Wenwu's master was no match for him." "Humph, I didn't expect that Wen Qing would kick a stone." Zhao Sanlai's mouth twitched, and he said disapprovingly, "Boss, you don't want to hear this, but what can Zhuo Leng do if you and your sister-in-law treat him like a master? I'll shoot him when I'm anxious." Jin Biao took a deep breath and thought of the battle on Tianhua Road 10 years ago. If Zhao Sanlai had not killed the boss with one shot, Jin Biao might be the one lying in the cemetery now. 10 years had passed in a flash. Time really flew. "Sanlai, it's not like 10 years ago." Jin Biao said thoughtfully, "You know how strict the gun inspection is now. How did Wang Xuanxi in the south capsize? Wasn't it because he hid a gun in that dog farm? If he didn't have those things, the police wouldn't be able to do anything to him, just like how they did to us. Zhao Sanlai was unconvinced. Then let me bring 200 brothers. If I don't have * King flatten his medicinal cuisine restaurant, my surname is not Zhao. Jin Biao took another sip of tea. You can't bring less brothers. Bring guns too. I want to meet that person and see how powerful he is to be able to scare my woman like that. He knew his wife well, but Jin Biao knew Wang Qing better than anyone else. When he was young, he was in the underworld. Wang Qing had been kidnapped by his opponents and stripped naked, yet she still dared to scold them. Now, she was actually afraid. This was simply a fantasy to Jin Biao. I didn't expect that Fan Nanjia and Wang Xuanxi would capsize because of a woman, and that woman is not Su Yanqing. Zhao Sanlai sneered. The 3 tigers of Southern City didn't follow anyone before. I didn't expect them to follow a woman. Jin Biao drank enough tea, took out a cigarette and put it in his mouth. Zhao Sanlai got up and lit it for him. Call all the brothers who can fight tomorrow at noon. I'll take care of the food in Yutong restaurant. After you're full, come with me to take down the 2nd South District. Jin Biao took a drag of the cigarette and slowly exhaled smoke. What 3 tigers of Southern City? In my eyes, they are just 3 dogs. Zhao Sanlai raised his head and smiled. Fighting for territory was his favorite thing to do. However, ever since Jin Biao took control of the East 2nd District 5 years ago, he seemed to have lost his youthful vigor. Moreover, the newly appointed Director Chen of the Public Security Bureau was not easy to deal with. That was why they had been suppressed for a long time. Boss, leave it to me. You don't have to do it yourself. Zhao Sanlai got up and walked to the front of Guan Yu, picked up a bunch of incense and lit it. He bowed 3 times and then put the incense in it respectfully. Jin Biao snorted disapprovingly. What's the use of worshipping? Don't I have to earn my own living? Thinking that his son was beaten half to death, Jin Biao's heart burned with anger. He used to worship Guan Yu on the 1st and 15th of every month, but now he said such words. This really scared Zhao Sanlai. What Jin Biao did next shocked Zhao Sanlai even more. Jin Biao got up and walked to the front of the statue of Guan Yu, which he had worshipped for 20 years, and kicked it. The entire statue fell to the ground with a loud crash, shattering into pieces. The dust in the incense burner rose with a whoosh, and the whole room was covered in a gray haze. Boss. Zhao Sanlai was so shocked that he couldn't speak. This was a disgraceful thing for a gangster like him. Jin Biao sneered and looked at the broken statue. What's the use of worshipping you if you can't even protect my son and woman? Sanlai, do you know why I don't have a tattoo? Jin Biao's eyes flashed with a cold light. I don't know. Zhao Sanlai was stumped by the question. This was also a question he wanted to know. When they were young, they all had tattoos, but Jin Biao didn't have any. He didn't look like a gangster at all. Jin Biao snorted. Then I'll tell you today. From the first day I joined the gangsters, I swore to be a man who can carry Guan Yu. Originally, I wanted to get Guan Yu tattooed on my body after I dominated Hudong City, but it seems that I have to bring it forward today. I won't worship you anymore. I want to be Guan Yu myself. Zhao Sanlai was so shocked that he couldn't say anything. Come, follow me to the tattoo shop. Jin Biao strode away. The broken pieces lay quietly on the ground. Zhao Sanlai felt a chill in his heart, and his whole body shivered. Guan Yu tattooed on the back must be a tough person. Ordinary people couldn't bear it. Regardless of whether it was superstition or not, at least Zhao Sanlai knew that those who dared to tattoo Guan Yu on their back didn't have a good ending. Jin Biao was preparing to launch an all-out attack on the 2nd District of the South. The people in the 2nd District of the South weren't useless. Years of experience told the 3 tigers of the South that they must be prepared in advance. Otherwise, they would be caught off guard. Of course, they didn't dare to tell Su Yin about this. They were afraid that Su Yin would scold them for making trouble out of nothing. However, Kong Zhong, who put safety first, still made a plan. The 3 tigers of the South gathered all their brothers, and each of them brought their own underlings. At least, they could ensure the combat effectiveness tomorrow. Lu Feng and Dan Honing both knew that Jin Biao was not a ruthless person who could endure losses, so they agreed to Kong Zhong's arrangement. Tomorrow, They would gather people and arrange to wait near the medicinal cuisine house. If Jean Biao dared to come, they would let him know that the people in the 2nd District of the South were not soft eggs even if they couldn't win. Chapter 60. Because it was the weekend, Guogua didn't need to go to class, and Qin Waner didn't need to go to work, so the medicinal cuisine restaurant was particularly lively. Early in the morning, Guogua's beautiful singing voice could be heard. The sun is shining, Guogua is singing 3 songs. Mom is awake, Waner is busy dressing up. Sister Cho-yun is brushing her teeth. Dad is the most glorious cook. Soo-yun really wanted to bang his head against the wall. Why did he have to cook on the weekend? Why was it not glorious for others to cook? But forget it. Thinking about how this house was full of beautiful and soft girls, how could he bear to let them do the cooking for him when he was so protective of the fairer sex? Once breakfast was over, the busy day officially began. Except for Guogua and Qin Waner, who always wanted to go out shopping, the other 3 stayed at their posts. Because they couldn't go out, Guogua was a little depressed. The business now was not the same as before. Guogua, who was used to seeing a lot of money, obviously didn't care about this small amount of money. She had no interest in the cashier. She was actually holding the computer to study something like financial, economic, and stock. Soo-yun suspected that this girl was pretending. After all, he didn't understand much about those things. However, Soo-yun was still very envious of those people who were economically minded. They could raise a lot of money in the stock market by moving their fingers. They were much better than him, the cook. After a busy afternoon, the few beauties all went upstairs to rest, leaving only Soo-yun downstairs to look after the restaurant. At this time, a quiet and fair beauty with creamy skin walked in. Soo-yun's eyes lit up, and he couldn't help but look at the beauty. She was tall, had sharp teeth, and beautiful eyes. She was holding a silver microphone to show her temperament, but the development of her breasts was much worse than Qin Waner's. Following closely behind, an average-looking man with a camera walked in. Gao Shu, are you sure it's this one? It should be. The fair-skinned beauty looked at the man at the front desk who was staring at her chest. She was speechless. Soo-yun rubbed his chin and smacked his lips, thinking. Her parents gave her this name with good intentions, but this beauty's appearance is too disappointing. Towering? No matter how I look at it, it looks like an airport. It's not tall at all. The cameraman with the camera had sharp eyes. He keenly noticed that Soo-yun's eyes were not honest. Hey brother, don't be in a daze. Give me some reaction. Wow, are you guys from the TV station? Soo-yun slammed his hands on the table and stood up. His eyes widened. Just now, he had really forgotten how to react when he was looking at the beautiful woman. The person carrying the camera and the female anchor were together. If they were not shooting an action romance film in Japan, then they must be a TV reporter. Why did the reporters come to their medicinal cuisine restaurant? It was not time to eat. Excuse me, is Qin Waner working as a chef's apprentice in this restaurant? A tall, fair-skinned beauty asked quietly. Are you talking about Qin Waner? Soo-yun almost laughed out loud. Chef's apprentice? Just her? It's too early. Gaoji broke out in a cold sweat. Waner told her that she was working as a chef's apprentice here. How did she become a servant in the blink of an eye? Hearing the noise downstairs, Qin Waner stuck her head out of the staircase. When she saw the 2 people coming in, she was shocked. Gaoji, why did you come half an hour early? I was thinking about going out to welcome you. Phew. Fortunately, I didn't come to the wrong place. Gaoji let out a sigh of relief. This is called professionalism. Qin Waner had just walked downstairs when Soo-yun said to her with a smile. Qin Waner, when did I agree to be your apprentice? You really know how to flatter yourself. Haha, do your job well. Maybe I'll teach you a thing or two when I'm happy. Qin Waner gritted her teeth when she heard Soo-yun's words. She walked up to him and punched him in the chest. You're the servant. No one will think you're mute if you don't talk. Bragger. Soo-yun did not show any weakness. Bastard. Qin Waner really wanted to kill him. This guy actually exposed her in front of her good friend. She was so embarrassed. Gaoji saw the 2 of them quarreling and smiled. Well, it doesn't matter what it is. I'm here to interview the owner and chef of the medicinal cuisine restaurant. You can introduce me to them quickly. Hearing the noise downstairs, Wan Qingshuang and Guogua could not sit still. They came down one after another. What a beautiful sister! Guogua could not help but exclaim. She looked around and then her eyes fell on Gao Zhi's chest. She thought to herself, her body is not the type that Dad likes. Wan Qingshuang looked at the two people who came in, and then looked at Qin Wan. She felt that this girl was a little familiar. This is? Sister Qingshuang, come down quickly. Let me introduce you. Qin Wan waved her hand to let Wan Qingshuang come down quickly. This is Gao Zhi of our Hudong City TV station. TV station? Wan Qingshuang heard and quickly came down. Wow, so cool. Guogua could not help but run to Gao Zhi. Sister, am I going to be on TV? Of course. Gao Lu smiled faintly. What a clever and lovable little girl. Wan Qingshuang said embarrassedly. My daughter is a little naughty. Please don't mind her. Gao Zhi smiled. Of course not. I like her very much. Sister, you have good taste. Guogua said with a bright face. Then she ran to the stairs. I'll be on TV later. I'll go up and change first. Damn. Qin Wan was speechless. It was not an interview. Why are you so excited? The cameraman had already started to film the environment of the medicinal cuisine restaurant. He was surprised that a restaurant could be so clean. Gao Zhi, this is the owner of our medicinal cuisine restaurant, Wan Qingshuang. If you have anything to interview, just ask her directly. After Qin Wan introduced Wan Qingshuang, her face became very unhappy. She pointed at Su Yun and said, the one who doesn't look reliable is the chef. Gao Zhi shook hands with Wan Qingshuang with a smile. Then she looked at Su Yun awkwardly. She did not know how to greet him. Wan, can you explain to me? Wan Qingshuang was still confused. Sister Qingshuang, this is good news. Qin Wan said, because the people of Hudong City are very interested in medicinal cuisine recently, the TV station wants to interview a medicinal cuisine restaurant. Gao Zhi is in charge of this. She is my good friend. Of course, I won't miss this free advertising opportunity. Wan Qingshuang was a little surprised when she heard the interview. Interview? I don't know how to. Don't be nervous. Just do as I say. After all, Gao Zhi was a person who had seen the world. She smiled and asked the cameraman to prepare. The cameraman was already shocked. This was the cleanest restaurant he had ever seen. The floor was spotless, the table was clean, and even the kitchen was shining. Qin Wan's help was really the icing on the cake. Wan Qingshuang had just promoted the medicinal cuisine to several large hotels and restaurants through Dan Hongning. Lu Feng had just opened his third branch in the city center. Now that the TV station wanted to interview them, it would definitely increase their popularity. Su Yin, don't you want to change your clothes? Later, when you cook a dish, I will edit it for you as a promotional video. Qin Wan looked at him with disdain. Underwear and singlet? Can you wear anything less? You want to see it? Humph, I am not such a casual person. Su Yin walked into the kitchen and directly changed into a clean white chef suit. He was definitely a talented person. I am the most handsome chef, and I am the best cook among the handsome guys. The interview went on for more than 2 hours. During the whole process, Guogua did not come down again. Obviously, the people downstairs had forgotten about her. Guogua was very depressed. She had changed into such beautiful clothes, but she could not go on TV. If only she could go on TV. Her friends would be stunned in class on Monday. Cho Yun stared at Guogua with a straight face. Of course, she was not stupid enough to let Guogua show up in public. Now there was no way to confirm whether the poisonous scorpion really came. If Guogua was seen on TV, then she was really looking for death. Can't I just show my face? Guogua was unwilling to give up and bit her finger. No. Cho Yun's answer was without any hesitation. Guogua could only sit on the sofa obediently and listen to the people downstairs talking loudly. Although she was usually a little naughty, once Cho Yun put on a straight face, Guogua would still be very obedient. Guogua knew that everything Cho Yun did was for her. The reason was very simple. Guogua knew that Cho Yun would even sacrifice her life for her. Guogua remembered very clearly what happened that night. She had been hiding it in the bottom of her heart, and did not say it, but it did not mean that she forgot. If Cho Yun did not risk her life to bring her out, she did not know where that group of fierce people would have taken her. I won't go. Guogua suddenly swept away her unhappiness and said sensibly, there will be plenty of opportunities in the future. Cho Yun felt a little uncomfortable in her heart. Guogua, sister is not good. Sister does not have the ability to protect you. Guogua stepped forward and patted Cho Yun's shoulder like a little adult. Cho Yun's sister, don't say that. Guogua has never thought like that. If it was not for sister, I don't know where I would have been taken to. Phew, sister, I miss Grandpa a little. Cho Yun's heart trembled. Her sharp eyes suddenly looked out of the window. She must take revenge for Feng Qiansui. Sister, don't worry. Guogua continued. I have a godfather. He is not someone to be trifled with. Even Guogua knows about it. You must know about it. Cho Yun was stunned. This little girl really did not give up until her words shocked people to death. Soon, the interview ended before the customers of the medicinal cuisine house came in the afternoon. Even the TV station had no right to interfere with the business of the medicinal cuisine house. Qin Wan'er tried to persuade them to stay for dinner, but they firmly refused, fearing that they would delay the business of the medicinal cuisine house. Qin Wan'er felt embarrassed, so she went upstairs to take the money and prepared to treat Gao Shu to Western food. Because of the sudden increase in customers, Gao Shu decided to film the flow of people in the medicinal cuisine house. But the camera was held down by a big hand, and the voice was hoarse. What are you filming? Who allowed you to film? Gao Shu and the cameraman were shocked. This group of people did not look like good people. I asked them to film. Qin Wan'er just walked out of the medicinal cuisine house and glared at Dan Hongning, who was blocking Gao Shu. Dan Hongning saw Qin Wan'er and immediately put on a smile. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. I didn't know you were invited by Officer Qin. Hey, shoot. Do you need my help? Chapter 61. Yesterday, Suyin did not allow them to come. Today, the three tigers of Southern City used the excuse of having a meal to support him. Of course, it was only the three of them. If the rest of them came, the medicinal cuisine house would be crowded. What are you doing here? Suyin looked at the three of them. Qin Wan'er was going out to treat people, so there was no one to do the chores. Just in time. One of you can wash the vegetables for me. Don't be idle. Go greet the customers. The three of them who came to eat were speechless. They did not use their brains. How could they have a share in Sister Shuang and Brother Yun's restaurant? Even the little ancestor Guogua had to help collect money. They could only do chores. The business of the medicinal cuisine house was still booming. The number of customers made Lu Feng's head ache. If he could open a branch and have such a good business, he would be happy. After all, the three of them were familiar with the process of the medicinal cuisine house. They were not careless at all, and were very agile. The sky slowly darkened. When the crescent moon hung high, the customers left in twos and threes. The flourishing medicinal cuisine house finally returned to peace. The three tigers of Southern City did not have it easy. They were exhausted. Suyin felt that the three of them had worked hard, so he asked them to stay in the restaurant and eat together. Are you all so bored that you came to do chores here? At the table, Suyin asked very confusedly. Lu Feng did not know how to lie. He blushed and said, Actually, we are worried about. Hey, nothing. Guogua's ears were very sharp. What are you worried about? Ha ha ha. What are you worried about? Sister Guogua, did you hear it wrong? Dan Hongning interrupted the topic. They estimated that Jin Biao would definitely come to make trouble today. However, there was no movement until now. It seemed that they had really miscalculated. Since Jin Biao did not come, they did not need to tell Suyin. Kong Zhong grinned. We just want to have a meal cooked by Brother Yin. Cho Yun, who didn't like to talk when there weren't many people around, suddenly spoke to the three of them. What are you trying to do by placing so many people around the medicinal cuisine restaurant? How could those people escape from Cho Yun's eyes? Because of the news that a dangerous person had entered the city, Cho Yun could clearly observe any movement around the medicinal cuisine restaurant. The Three Tigers of South City had brought more than 200 people. How could they not be discovered by Cho Yun? Cho Yun had already told Su Yin about this news an hour ago. However, Su Yin was as busy as a bird and had no time to deal with the three of them. Now that he was free, he naturally wanted to ask the three of them what they were thinking. Brother Yin, maybe we were a little too careful. Lu Feng couldn't hold back his words and said awkwardly, we brought people here because we were afraid that something would happen. Su Yin glanced at Lu Feng. Go on, I'm listening. We were afraid that Jin Biao would retaliate. Lu Feng's heart trembled. Brother, you don't know Jin Biao. We heard that you bought Wang Qing's house for 100 yuan. We also know that Brother Yin is not an ordinary person, but Jin Biao is also a ruthless person. Half of the big things in Hudong City 5 years ago were caused by him. Dan Hongning explained. Brother Yin, we were afraid that Jin Biao would retaliate against you for extorting his wife's house. Buying and selling houses is a matter of mutual consent. F***CK. It's not like I didn't give her money. Su Yin didn't care. Dad, you bought this house for 100 yuan? Guogua looked at Su Yin in surprise. Su Yin nodded. Yes, how is it? Godfather is very good at living, isn't he? I'll pay double. Sell it to me, okay? Guogua looked at Su Yin with a bright smile. If you don't agree, I can't guarantee that I won't say anything to Mom. When the time comes, whether you can marry Mom or not is another matter. This little thing's move was too ruthless, wasn't it? Ruan Qingshuang was speechless. She picked up a piece of stewed eel and stuffed it into Guogua's mouth. Don't talk when you eat. Guogua, did you forget what Mom taught you? However, because of Guogua's words, Su Yin had to directly hand over the house to his precious goddaughter. Dad will transfer the ownership to you tomorrow. How about that? Dad, I'm satisfied if you say that. Guogua smiled. Dad, since you are so kind, then I will definitely be righteous. I will definitely keep the words we said when we first met. Su Yin certainly remembered that when he met Guogua, this little rascal asked for 200 yuan. 100 yuan as a greeting gift, and 100 yuan as a hiring fee. The Three Tigers of Nanqing saw that Su Yin didn't care about who Jin Biao was, and they were at their wits' end. Anyway, Brother Yin wasn't an ordinary person like them. No matter what happened, he was so calm that it made people click their tongue. Su Yin's cell phone suddenly rang. He picked it up and saw that it was Xiao Fei. He picked it up and asked, What's the matter? Brother Chang. Brother Chang was crippled. Our shop was set on fire. Xiao Fei was young after all. The things that he had just experienced seemed to have scared him silly. He was stuttering. Su Yin's face suddenly darkened. Where are you? Xiao Fei said while bending. I'm in the shop. Brother Chang's hands were nailed. Brother, I don't know what to do. I'll be there soon. Su Yin hung up the phone and directly got up and said to the Three Tigers of Nanqing, Take your brothers and follow me to Chang's branch in Hongnan district immediately. The three of them saw Su Yin's dignified face and knew that something big must have happened. Without saying anything, they got up and took out their cell phones to contact their brothers. Su Yin didn't waste any time. He went upstairs to get the car keys and took out 2 small bottles from his backpack. After going downstairs, he drove the Shenlong Buick straight to Hongnan district. Hearing Xiao Fei's voice, he knew that Chang must have been seriously injured. During the whole process, Ruan Qingshuang and Guogua didn't dare to ask, because they could see that Su Yin was absolutely furious. The dilapidated Shenlong Buick was driven by Su Yin like a Ferrari. It drifted and swayed on the road, making those who drove BMWs and Mercedes-Benz feel embarrassed. Su Yin rushed to the branch of the medicinal cuisine house in Hongnan district. At the door, Chang's newly bought Passat was smashed into a pile of scrap metal. Su Yin kicked the door and entered. The shop was obviously set on fire. Many places were blackened. Obviously, the fire was put out in time. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Brother Yin. Xiao Fei was about to cry when he saw Su Yin. Although he was also beaten black and blue, he didn't care. Those bastards nailed Brother Chang in the kitchen. Su Yin didn't care about the mess outside. He strode into the kitchen. Chang's hands were pierced by 2 sharp fruit knives and nailed to the chopping board. The scene was too horrible to look at. Half of Chang's face was swollen like a steamed bun. When he saw Su Yun, he grinned and said, "Brother, you're here." No matter who did it, he did infuriate Su Yun. Although Su Yun's heart was burning with anger, he still calmly said to Xiao Fei, "There's a clinic 500 meters to the left. Go out and buy 2 bottles of hydrogen peroxide, 2 rolls of gauze, and a box of painkillers." "Yes." Xiao Fei turned around and ran out. "Bear with it for a while." Su Yun took out 2 small bottles from his pocket. He opened one and sprinkled the medicinal powder on Chang's hands where the knife had pierced through. The medicinal powder could quickly stop the bleeding. Chang's eyes almost popped out of their sockets when he saw the medicinal powder. However, the pain only lasted for a few seconds. When you pull out the knife, there will be a second injury. If you're a man, bear with it. Su Yun grabbed a pair of chopsticks and placed it in front of Chang's mouth. "Bite it." Crunch. Chang didn't even frown. If he's a man, he'll *King bite it. Chang was no longer the hooligan he was half a month ago. Ever since he followed Su Yun, he swore to be like Brother Yun and be a real man. Su Yun took a deep breath. Although he had pulled out the knife many times in the past, those people were all abnormal level. Generally, when the wound was caused by a cold weapon, they could just apply medicinal herbs such as Panax noto ginseng or immortal crane grass on the wound, and they would be able to recover their fighting strength. Clearly, Chang was not one of those fierce people. Chang was just an ordinary person. He had to minimize the second injury to him. When Su Yun's hand grabbed the knife handle, Chang's forehead was already covered in sweat. He closed his eyes and bit down on the chopsticks. He thought, "Come on. If I cry out in pain, I'm not a man." Su Yun seemed to have heard Chang's thoughts. He suddenly exerted his strength and pulled out the fruit knife from Chang's left hand. Chang's vision turned black and a kacha sound came from his mouth. He held his breath for half a minute before releasing it. "You can still hold on, right?" Su Yun looked at the sharp knife covered in blood. His eyes shone with a cold light. He wanted to return an eye for an eye. Chang couldn't speak as he bit on the chopsticks. He could only nod weakly. Su Yun didn't hesitate. He pulled out the sharp knife from Chang's right hand. This time, Chang finally relaxed. When he let go, 7 or 8 of the chopsticks in his mouth were bitten off. However, he still grinned and said, "Good." Su Yun couldn't bear to knock his head again. "I think you're not being played hard enough." Of course, Chang knew that Su Yun said that out of anger. He grinned again. He really didn't want to talk now. It was difficult for him to even open his mouth. Now, even smiling seemed to take up all his strength. Xiao Fei ran in after buying the things. Su Yun asked Xiao Fei to clean Chang's wounds with hydrogen peroxide. Then, he took out another small bottle containing a black ointment. "This thing has a miraculous effect on healing wounds, but it will leave a mark." Su Yun glanced at Chang. "Do you want to try it?" Chang nodded with all his strength and said reluctantly, "Brother, I'm not a woman. I'm not afraid of being unlucky. Use." If Chang knew that this Black Heaven fragrance ointment could be sold for 7 figures on the black market, he wouldn't have used it even if he was beaten to death. If the 9 Transformations Soul Return Pill was a super elixir for internal injuries, then the Heaven fragrance ointment was a super medicine for external injuries. Chapter 62. In the end, Su Yun used gauze to bandage Chang's hands and threw the painkillers in Xiao Fei's hand to him. "If you can't take it, eat it. This thing is harmful to the nervous system, and it hurts the kidneys." When Chang heard this, he threw the painkillers to the side. "I'm a man. I don't need to eat this thing. It doesn't hurt anymore." "Brother Chang, don't be stubborn. You're sweating." Xiao Fei still felt sorry for this guy who was better than his real brother. "Why don't you eat too? Just 2 shouldn't affect you. Eat your head." Chang was exposed and felt embarrassed. "I already said it doesn't hurt. Didn't you hear Brother Yun say it hurts the kidneys? If I can't get it up in the future, can you bear the responsibility?" At this time, the southern city's 3 tigers also arrived. When they saw the broken car at the door, Kong Zhong was the first to exclaim, He was absolutely sure that this was done by Jin Biao's people because Jin Biao had a guy called Zhao Sanlai who liked to smash cars. No matter who he fought with, he would definitely smash the car first. Dan Hongning pushed the door open and saw such a terrible scene. He muttered in his heart. He didn't expect Jin Biao to not directly attack the main store. So King Sinister. Lu Feng's face was gloomy. He seemed to have thought of something, but because he wasn't sure, he didn't say anything. Why are you all here? Chang was stunned. He was really flattered. Who did it? Su Yin had also healed his injuries. Now what he needed to do was to make the other party return everything that should be returned. Chang's slightly better face turned yellow. Brother, did we offend Jin Biao because of that house? Jin Biao. That's Wang Qing's man. Chang gritted his teeth. His face showed more fear than hatred for Jin Biao. Su Yin sneered and didn't say anything. It seemed that the southern city's 3 tigers were right to worry. However, none of them expected Jin Biao to attack here. How did they know about my shop? Qiangzi was also a little puzzled. Jin Biao brought more than 200 people to surround this place before we finished our business. I didn't think they would be from the east district of Hudong City at first. Looking at Chang's hands wrapped in thick gauze, Lu Feng finally said what he wanted to say. I'm afraid that one of our own betrayed us. The moment these words were spoken, it was as if 1,000 ripples had been stirred up on a calm lake. First, Jin Biao must have learned about the ambush of the 3 tigers of Southern City, near the medicinal cuisine house, through the people in the southern district. Second, Jin Biao must have learned about the branch of the medicinal cuisine house in the Hongnan district from that person. Who was the mole? Su Yin looked out of the medicinal cuisine restaurant. The 3 tigers of Southern City led more than 200 people and dozens of cars, all of which were piled up at the entrance of the branch in Hongnan district. Presumably, that guy called Jin Biao was about to make a move on Wan Qingshuang's medicinal cuisine restaurant. What a good trick to lure the tiger away from the mountain. Of course, someone must have relayed all their information to Jin Biao. Otherwise, Jin Biao wouldn't have been so confident. Oh no, Dan Hongning suddenly realized. Isn't Sister Shuang and the others in danger? Lu Feng also slapped his forehead. Yes. We're already in Hongnan district. Jin Biao must have taken the opportunity to kill his way there. No, we have to take our brothers back immediately. Since they're here, it won't be easy for them to leave. Kong Zhong said with lingering fear. With Jin Biao's style of doing things, how could he not leave some people here to attack the reinforcements? Just as Kong Zhong finished speaking, there was a sudden commotion outside. Soon, the 200 men of the 3 tigers of Southern City were surrounded. The 3 were shocked and could not help but break out in a cold sweat. The older, the wiser. Jin Biao was not that easy to deal with. Su Yun's lips curled up slightly. Fortunately, there was still Cho Yun in the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Unless Jin Biao could afford to raise 2 second-rate masters, there was no way he could have a good time with Cho Yun. Brother, what should we do? Chang said nervously. He had seen that group of people just now. They were King Fierce. Relying on Zhao Sanlai's gun. They were all arrogant and insufferably arrogant. Of course, we'll give them a taste of their own medicine. Su Yin was too lazy to care whether the other party was from the eastern district of Hudong City or not. There was only one end for people who wanted to cause trouble for him. They would end up the same as those who played with eggs. It was over. Su Yin pushed the door open under the shocked gazes of the 3 tigers of Southern City. He faced the crowd and said calmly, "Whoever did this, step forward. Those who did not participate, get lost." Zhao Sanlai had been with Jin Biao since he was 15 years old. In the blink of an eye, 20 years had passed. He was no longer a rookie. When he heard Su Yun's words, he laughed. "Kid, you've got guts. I've seen a lot of stubborn people. Today, I'll give you a massage and see if you can still get tough." "You're the one who nailed Chang with a knife?" Su Yun's eyes flashed coldly as he stared at Zhao Sanlai. Zhao Sanlai felt a chill in his heart. What a scary gaze. He did not expect this kid to be an ordinary person. He had no choice but to take out the gun in his pocket. So what if it was me? Zhao Sanlai raised the gun in his hand. "Brother Yin, be careful." The 3 tigers of Southern City were shocked. After all, Zhao Sanlai was not the kind of person who only knew how to scare people. He actually dared to shoot. Out of 10 gun cases in Hudong City, Zhao Sanlai was involved in at least 3 or 4 of them. Zhao Sanlai was proud of himself, and the morale of the 200 men behind him doubled. In comparison, the 200 men of the 3 tigers of Southern City were listless. Although Dan Hongning, Kong Zhong, and Lu Feng all had guns in their houses, none of them dared to take them out. The boss of the Four Wolves gang, Wang Xuanxi, had just been sentenced to 30 years in prison for possessing guns. Whoever played with guns in the Southern 2nd District would be causing trouble. Besides, even if they had guns, they were not like Zhao Sanlai, who would shoot people for no reason. Everyone was afraid, but Su Yin was not. In his previous missions, he had faced people who would shoot people without a gun. Moreover, those people he had met before could kill people with a toothpick even if they did not have a gun. They were hundreds of times more dangerous than Zhao Sanlai in front of him. Therefore, in Su Yun's eyes, a gun was just like a toothpick. In the hands of a real fierce person, a toothpick was also a gun, and the gun in Zhao Sanlai's hand was just a toothpick. Su Yun did not give Zhao Sanlai a chance to continue talking tough, nor did he give him a chance to shoot. His figure flashed in front of Zhao Sanlai, and with a lightning-fast sweep of his leg, he kicked the gun out of Zhao Sanlai's hand. Zhao Sanlai's heart skipped a beat. Before he could react, he was hit in the chest by a heavy punch that contained a huge hidden force. Zhao Sanlai's body flew a few meters and directly hit a black car. Su Yun's punch was the limit of what an ordinary person could withstand. He did not want to kill people, so he did not use any internal force in his punch. Even so, this punch was enough for Zhao Sanlai to suffer. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his breathing became rapid. Su Yun did not give his opponent any chance to breathe. He rushed forward again, and with a flash of cold light in his hands, the 2 sharp knives that had nailed Chong to the chopping board appeared in his hands. Before Zhao Sanlai could react, Su Yin had already stabbed him with the knives. The blades pierced through Zhao Sanlai's right palm, went through the back of his hand, and stabbed into the hood of the car. Ah! Zhao Sanlai's scream tore through the night sky. An hour ago, he was the one who had stabbed Chong's hand and nailed Chong to the chopping board. Retribution came quickly. Before he could finish screaming, Su Yin had already stabbed a second knife into Zhao Sanlai's left hand. Su Yin used the same method to nail Zhao Sanlai's hands to the hood of a black car. Zhao Sanlai screamed in pain. He used to like torturing people, but he did not expect that he would be unable to take it when he was being tortured like this. Shut up. Su Yin suddenly stood up and stomped heavily on Zhao Sanlai's body. Zhao Sanlai's body and the car sank a few centimeters at the same time, and then there was no sound at all. Everything Su Yin did was under the eyes of more than 400 people from both sides. So many people were silent after Zhao Sanlai fainted. Dan Hongning could not help but sigh in his heart. Brother Yin was indeed Brother Yin. No one would be able to do something like this. He faced a gun head-on and took down a person without hesitation. In terms of ruthlessness, Dan Hongning had never seen anyone more ruthless than Brother Yin. Fortunately, he did not offend Brother Yin at that time. Kong Zhong still had a lingering fear. When Su Yun helped him take care of Shanzi and his gang at the battlefield, he knew that Su Yun was not simple, but he did not expect Brother Yin to be so ruthless. Brothers, what are you waiting for? F***CK, let's kill them. Lu Feng suddenly roared, and more than 200 of his subordinates instantly became aggressive. The other side's leader was captured by Su Yun, so naturally, they were in a mess. Although the 2 sides were evenly matched in terms of numbers, their momentum was completely subverted by Su Yun. In less than half an hour, the other side's people were cut into pieces by the 3 tigers of Southern City. The Hongnan District Police Station did not have a police officer as responsible as Qin Wan. When they received the report and heard that it was a gang fight, they were not willing to intervene. A police car came, but after the fight ended, they caught some people who were beaten to the point that they could not get up. Zhao Sanlai was blacklisted in Hudong City. When the police saw that he was nailed to the car, they all secretly sighed. What kind of gang could be so fierce that even Jin Biao, the boss of Hudong City, lost his men? The 3 tigers of Southern City fully carried out Su Yun's instructions. After the brothers cut up the other side's people, they quickly drove away from the scene. After all, this was Hongnan district, not Wenhui district. Qin Wan could not protect them in this district. If anyone was caught, they could only blame it on their bad luck. Su Yin drove the Shenlong Bukong back to the medicinal cuisine restaurant with Xiaoqiang. On the way back, Xiaoqiang felt sorry for his car. It had only been driven for 2 days, and it was destroyed. F***CK, there was no insurance for an illegal car, and he could not report it to the police. 30,000 yuan was wasted just like that. How could he not feel sorry for losing such a big piece of meat? Because the fight in Hongnan district was too much, the 3 tigers of Southern City had to disperse their brothers. Otherwise, they would be easily targeted by the police. After the crowd dispersed, only the 3 of them drove to catch up with Su Yun. The brothers could not go to the medicinal cuisine restaurant, but the 3 of them could not. Chapter 63. 10 different cars of different styles were parked in an orderly manner in front of the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Jin Biao strode out of his black Mercedes-Benz S350 and looked at the front room with a calm expression. He had to admit that his wife had good taste. 5 years ago, he bought this place for less than 500,000 yuan. Now even if someone offered him 3 million yuan, he would not sell it. Wang Qing had told Jin Biao a long time ago that this place would be the center of their expansion into the southern district of Hudong City in the future. Last year, they rented it to Ruan Qingshuang at a low rent of 20,000 yuan a year, because Wang Qing liked Ruan Qingshuang's weak personality and could easily take back the house at any time. However, Jin Biao had never expected that the weak woman Wang Qing had told him would become the leader of the southern district of Hudong City. It was like a fairy tale to him, and he could not believe it at all. Jin Biao was not a reckless young man. Of course, he would not be stupid enough to go to the southern district of Hudong City without knowing anything. If he were such a person, he would have been dead 5 years ago. Last night, Jin Biao had found someone to contact the foot soldier who was involved in illegal car sales. He knew that the guy had a lot of connections and had a good relationship with Lu Feng, one of the 3 tigers of Southern City. Most importantly, he was a money grubber, so Jin Biao only needed 100,000 yuan to buy the information from him. Coincidentally, because of Chang Zi's purchase of cars, the infantryman's relationship with Lu Feng became closer, so he was very clear about the situation here. At first, the infantryman had some scruples, but later, because he couldn't resist the temptation of money, he finally told Jin Biao everything he knew. Therefore, Jin Biao knew his enemy well, and he was determined to win. He had Zhao Sanlai lead more than 200 men to smash the branch in the Hongnan district in order to lure the enemy out of its hole. By the time the enemy arrived with all their men, his real destination would have been an empty shell. Although Hongnan district was not far from Wenhui district, it would take at least 20 minutes to drive back. Besides, he had arranged for Sanlai to keep an eye on them. He believed that the 3 tigers of Nanqing would not dare to provoke Sanlai, who was armed with a gun. That was why Jin Biao could leisurely stand at the entrance of the medicinal cuisine restaurant and light a cigarette. The 30 people behind him were the best fighters around him. There was Xiao Lei and his group of tigers of Huabei from the 3 northeastern provinces, and Lu Huazi and his group of Jiangnan dragons from the other side of the Yangtze River. Brother Biao, why aren't we making a move yet? Xiao Lei was impatient and could not hold back his restless heart. Jin Biao smoked his cigarette and smiled. What's the hurry? The South District of Hudong City will be ours sooner or later. When the time comes, I'll ask Wenwu to come here. You guys have to help him. Lu Huazi had a sinister look on his face. Brother Biao, is the guy who beat up the young master here too? Let's go. Jin Biao smiled. You don't have to worry about that. That kid is dead if he falls into Sanlai's hands. Sanlai has a gun on him. He's the most suitable person for what happened today. After saying that, the smile on Jin Biao's face turned into a sneer. He wanted Zhao Sanlai to shoot that bastard. Even if Zhao Sanlai had to go into hiding for 2 years, he would not tolerate the fact that his son was almost killed. Xiao Lei spat. Hudong City is in such a hurry to check on guns. The only one who would dare to shoot is Brother Sanlai. Brother Biao, you really trust Brother Sanlai. When did you start treating us the same way you treat him? Ha ha ha. Sanlai has been with me since he was 15. It's been 20 years. Jean Biao looked proud. You guys can't compare to him. Brother Biao, let's do it, Lu Huazi said calmly. Brother Sanlai should be done with his side. Jean Biao nodded and said to everyone, listen up, no one is to destroy the things inside. This is my house. Now that medicinal cuisine is so popular in Hudong City, it's a source of income. We'll take back the house and the business will be ours. The people in the medicinal cuisine restaurant did not notice the danger. Cho Yun was locked in her room to adjust her blood flow. Wan Qingshuang was guiding Guogua on her homework. Qin Wan went out to treat the television station's Gao Shu to a meal. In the end, Gao Shu brought her home to be a guest, and she would not be back for a while. Wan Qingshuang did not lock the door because there were still people who had not come back yet. Xia Lei was the first to rush in. He opened his throat and shouted, "Where is he?" This gave Guogua a big fright. If it weren't for the fact that Father Yun wasn't in the shop, Guogua would have already gone down to have a falling out with that person. Shouting in the middle of the night as if it was a robbery, how hair-raising. Wan Qingshuang quickly ran downstairs. Seeing the other person's aggressive manner, she felt her hair stand on end. We're already closed. If you want to eat, come back earlier tomorrow. Seeing such a beautiful lady boss, Jean Biao was quite surprised. He had heard from Wang Qing and his son that the person who rented the house was a beauty, but he did not expect her to be so beautiful. She was so beautiful that he wanted to have an affair. Xia Lei was also quite surprised. She was such a beautiful girl, and he really couldn't bear to hit her or scare her. You're the boss. Lu Huazi did not know how to be gentle. He said coldly, You're the one who unified the southern district of Hudong City? Wan Qingshuang took a long time to come around. She nodded, not quite understanding. Yes, it's me. I'm Wang Qing's man. Jean Biao said calmly. You should know why I'm here. Wan Qingshuang panicked in her heart. Su Yun had really caused a lot of trouble. The other party looked like a rich man who had a lot of money. No matter how she looked at him, he was much more powerful than those hooligans from before. Even the people around him looked fiercer than the 3 tigers of Southern City. What do you want? The house, we've already bought it. Wan Qingshuang said with no confidence. Jean Biao's eyes flashed coldly. You call $100 buying a house? That's extortion. Guogua heard the sound and walked downstairs. She was annoyed by this bad guy's words. Zhou you beat Huang Gai, one is willing to beat, the other is willing to suffer. We only bought it because you were willing to sell it. What right do you have to say that we're extorting you? What a stubborn little girl. You want to play dumb with me? Jean Biao looked at the girl walking downstairs and felt no pity. Then I want the house back today. You have to give it to me even if you don't want to. What are you going to do about it? Guogua was very angry when she heard that. Her father had just become a tall, rich, and handsome man with a house and a car. This person wanted to take back the house. It was extremely hateful. You are extorting. So what? Jean Biao said coldly. Take them away. I'd like to see who can do anything to me. Yes. Lu Huazi and Xia Lei's eyes flashed fiercely. Before Wan Qingshuang could react, someone grabbed her arm. What are you doing? What are we doing? Xia Lei laughed coldly. Our brother Biao is going to be the groom tonight. Ha ha ha. Guogua, who had seen many storms, used all her strength to shout upstairs. Sister Cho Yun, save me. Cho Yun, who was meditating, was fully focused on adjusting her tendons and veins. She was not paying attention to what was going on outside. However, Guogua's shout went straight through her nerves. Cho Yun's eyes suddenly opened. Without thinking, she got up and broke through the door. Cho Yun jumped down the stairs and appeared in front of everyone. She picked up Guogua and put her behind her back. She shouted angrily, Who are you? How dare you? Yo. Jean Biao was really flattered by the sudden appearance of another beautiful girl. It was the first time in his life that he had encountered 2 beauties of this level. He was really lucky tonight. Ha ha ha, brother Biao, your luck is too good. Do you want me and Lu Huazi to help you enjoy one? Xiao Lei's eyes lit up when he saw a classic beauty like Chou Yun. He liked this type. Jin Biao snorted. He could not hide the pride on his face. Do you think Brother Biao is old? Ha ha ha, I'm still a treasure. Chou Yun heard him and shouted angrily, pervert. As soon as she said that, Xiao Lei and Lu Huazi felt a sharp pain in their hands. They immediately let go of Ruan Qingshuang. Ruan Qingshuang quickly ran to Chou Yun's side. She ran over and picked up Guogua. Only then did she notice that Chou Yun had a soft sword in her hand. Jin Biao could not help but frown. When did this woman have a weapon in her hand? He did not even see what was going on. F***ck. Slut. Xiao Lei had a few bloody cuts on his hand. He could not help but curse. If I don't strip you naked and parade you around today, I'll change my surname to yours. After saying that, Xiao Lei was about to make a move. However, he was no match for Chou Yun. A cold light flashed and the two blades formed a cross imprinted on Xiao Lei's face. Xiao Lei's face was filled with pain. He screamed and used his hands to claw at his painful cheeks. Blood instantly dyed his hands red. Chou Yun kicked Xiao Lei out of the medicinal cuisine restaurant at lightning speed. She exuded a murderous aura and shouted, "Get lost!" Xiao Lei, who used to be able to kill 7 or 8 people in a fight, could not even last 2 moves in front of a woman. He was sent flying by a woman's kick. This made Jin Biao speechless. Lu Huazi felt a chill in her heart. The woman in front of her was definitely not an ordinary person. Get out! Chou Yun's cold voice issued a final warning to Jin Biao and his gang. How could Jin Biao tolerate a woman shouting at him? Even if he was indeed frightened by Chou Yun's skills, he still roared. Go! All of you go! Whoever catches this woman today will have a good time. It was said that there would be brave men in the face of great rewards. In fact, there would also be brave men in the face of beauty. A group of reckless people rushed towards Chou Yun. Who was Chou Yun? Even in the underground world, she was a violent fox venerable. In the underground world, there were not many who could survive after offending a fox venerable. Although Chou Yun would not casually kill people in this society, she would definitely not show mercy. In just one exchange, 7 or 8 people were sent flying. These people only felt pain when they were thrown out. They either had their ears removed or their fingers cut off. Not a single one of them didn't lose a piece of flesh. Chou Yun was a person who loved cleanliness. After those people were kicked out, they realized that their parts had fallen off. Some of them had their ears removed, some of them had their noses cut off, some of them had their lips cut off, and some of them could not even find their fingers. Chapter 64. Chou Yun stood at the entrance of the medicinal cuisine restaurant with a murderous aura. She glared at the remaining people and shouted, "If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." Jin Biao trembled. He couldn't believe that there was such a master hidden in this small medicinal cuisine restaurant. The infantryman told him that Su Yin was very scary. He lured Su Yin away and let Zhao Sanlai deal with him. That was why he dared to bring Xiao Lei and Lu Huazi here. Obviously, the infantryman's information was not accurate. Jin Biao thought that there was still hope as long as Zhao Sanlai dealt with Su Yin tonight. He would have another chance to take this place. He gritted his teeth and said, "I admit defeat today. From now on, I, Jin Biao, will mind my own business in the 2nd district of the south." Chou Yun couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with this kind of person. "Get out." Jin Biao snorted and turned to leave. "I told you to get out. Didn't you hear me?" Guogua was not satisfied. This rude and arrogant-looking man was actually so rude that he wanted to snatch the house that her father bought at a cheap price. Guogua wouldn't forgive him so easily. Jin Biao was stunned. He didn't expect this little girl to be so aggressive, so he ignored Guogua and continued to walk out. However, someone didn't agree. Guogua asked him to get out, but Chou Yun naturally wouldn't let him walk out. Suddenly, 2 chopsticks shot out from Chou Yun's hands and hit Jin Biao's legs. Jin Biao's lower body went soft and he fell to his knees. "Get out." Chou Yun's word was emotionless. It was just describing an action. "I asked you to get out, not walk out." Jin Biao made up his mind. A great man knew when to yield, and when to stand tall. He had miscalculated today and lost in front of a master. He still had the same saying. There was still hope as long as there was life. As long as he had the chance to get out, he was determined to hire a master to kill all of them, no matter how much money he spent. Jin Biao's fat body, which weighed nearly 200 kilograms, fell to the ground with a loud thud. He gritted his teeth and rolled away. Since the boss had taken the lead, the rest of the people inside naturally didn't dare to say anything. Without needing Cho Yun to do anything, they all lay on the ground and rolled out of the medicinal cuisine restaurant. One after another, it was as if they were playing a game of catch. Su Yun, who had rushed back to the medicinal cuisine restaurant, saw this scene and knew that it was Guogua's bad idea. Wan Qingshuang would not have such a bad idea, and Cho Yun would not be so boring. When Chang saw Jin Biao rolling out of the medicinal cuisine restaurant, he pinched his thigh hard to make sure that he was not dreaming. The three tigers of Southern City, who returned to the medicinal cuisine house one after another because they were worried, were completely shocked. They were worried, but now they thought that it was unnecessary. Cho Yun was here. Jin Biao had only brought 20 or 30 people, but he didn't even have a gun. Wasn't he asking for trouble? Let's go. Jin Biao stood up with a gloomy face. He would never forgive the woman who humiliated him, especially the little girl. You come and go as you please. Who do you think I am? Su Yun smiled and walked straight to Jin Biao. Jin Biao trembled and glared at Su Yun. Who are you? Su Yun. The two words were like thunder in his ears. Jin Biao's body trembled violently as the voice fell. His eyes slowly changed from suspicion to fear. Zhao Sanlai had a gun and more than 200 people, but he still couldn't stop this person in Hongnan district? How was this possible? Unless this person wasn't human, otherwise, how could he escape from his trap? Jin Biao took out his phone in a panic and wanted to make a call to confirm. No need to call. Su Yun waved his hand and said carelessly, Your people must have been taken away by the police. Don't worry. Wait for a while. Our famous violent policewoman will be here soon. Jin Biao's eyes widened. What do you mean? Su Yun put away his carefree expression. His eyes were cold and angry. This anger was not only because of Chang's injury, but also because this person wanted to take away Ruan Qingshuang's heart that had just been trampled on. This had happened once, and Su Yun would not allow it to happen again. Do you want to know? The three words came out of Su Yun's mouth, but in Jin Biao's ears, they sounded like they came from hell. Jin Biao's years of experience in the underworld told him that he could not afford to offend this person. 15 years ago, he had spent 2 years in prison. At that time, the prison bully had the same aura as Su Yun. It was said that the bully was a master in the underworld, so no one in prison dared to touch his dignity. At that time, Jin Biao trembled when he saw the bully. He did not expect this unknown kid in front of him to give him the same feeling. This was the real deal. Jin Biao finally opened his mouth. He even gave up on the idea of revenge. Brother, name a price. If I have offended you in any way, I will apologize. If I dare to have any thoughts about the South District of Hudong City again, I will die a horrible death. Su Yun ignored Jin Biao's retreat and only said 2 words. It's too late. F***ck. Xiaolei, who had almost been killed by Cho Yun, stood up unwillingly. He gritted his teeth and pulled out a dagger from his waist. He walked toward Su Yun. I will kill you. Ah. However, before he could finish his sentence, Su Yun kicked him in the crotch like a viper spitting out its tongue. Everyone felt a chill run down their spines. What a fierce and ruthless kick. This was completely aimed at ending his bloodline. Not to mention ordinary people. Even monks who had practiced the golden bell shield and iron shirt would be knocked down by such a kick. Brother Biao, you go first. Lu Huazi was a righteous person. He knew that he was no match for Su Yun, but he still stood in front of him. At this time, the 3 tigers of Southern City had arrived. Dan Honing frowned. Lu Huazi, if you know what's good for you, move aside. Huazi, all the brothers in the underworld think that you are a man. As long as you are willing to move aside, I, Lu Feng, will plead for you in front of Brother Yun today. Lu Feng looked at Su Yun. Brother Yun, I have a good eye for people. Without waiting for Su-yin to speak, Lu Huazi scolded. Good eye my ass. If you have a good eye for people, why didn't you see that the footman who sold the black car was a money grubber? Lu Feng's face darkened. So it was the footman who sold them out, that son of a bitch. Su-yin didn't say anything and suddenly punched. His fist carried a strong wind and layers of strength. It sent Lu Huazi flying a few meters away. He was lying on the ground and couldn't stand up. Today, it was useless for anyone to plead for mercy. He wouldn't forgive anyone who threatened the medicinal cuisine restaurant. In the future, I Jin Biao, and everyone will follow you. When Jin Biao saw that the two champions beside him had both been killed in an instant, he promptly made a decision. I'll give you the entire business street in South Tua District, as well as all the entertainment venues in Jingxian District. I'll give you everything. Su-yin snorted disdainfully. You didn't give them to me. I took them myself. Jin Biao gritted his teeth. Brother, take a step back and you will have a better view. Those words sound familiar, Su-yin said with a frown. Guogua had heard the movement outside long ago. It was only because Ruan Qingshuang had been pulling her that she didn't run out. Hearing this, Guogua couldn't help but shout to the outside of the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Dad, it was that stinky old man from the Dead Dog Gang who said it. Su-yin nodded and thanked Guogua with a smile. Yes, I remember now. Guogua is really amazing. You can even remember this. Of course. Before Guogua could finish being proud, Ruan Qingshuang dragged her into the house. Wang Xuanqi from the Four Wolves gang. Jin Biao's eyes flashed with a trace of uneasiness. Wang Xuanqi's public trial was only a few days ago, and he was sentenced to 30 years in prison. He was a member of the underworld, illegally possessing guns, disrupting people's livelihood, and bullying others. Jin Biao suddenly understood. At first, he didn't believe that a small policeman could overturn the Four Wolves gang and the Knife and Axe gang. It turned out that he had the help of an expert. It seemed that he had underestimated the people of the Southern District. A taxi stopped 200 meters away. The taxi driver looked ahead and said with some fear, Big sister. Who is your big sister? Qin Weiner's veins bulged as she angrily rebuked. Sorry, miss. You are a miss? Your whole family is a miss. Qin Weiner was really angry. This taxi driver was too bad at talking. The taxi driver's face darkened. That. Miss, okay? You can get off here. I think the place you went to is a bit messy. Only then did Qin Weiner notice the situation in front of the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Without saying anything, she opened the door and ran over. The driver was stunned for a few seconds before he suddenly realized. Hey, you didn't pay. Qin Weiner didn't have any other thoughts. She rushed to the medicinal cuisine restaurant in one breath. When she saw the three tigers of the Southern District, she was burning with anger. What the hell are you doing? The three of them were shocked. When they turned around and saw that it was Qin Weiner, they were relieved. Speak of the devil. Su-yin turned around and grinned. Do you know who this person is? Qin Weiner was stunned. Although they didn't participate in the management of the East 2nd District, she often heard of notorious people like Jin Biao. How could she not know him? Boss of the East, Jin Biao. Oh, you know quite a lot. Su-yin raised his eyebrows and pointed at Chang's hands. See, this person did it. He caused serious injuries. We are a group of witnesses. Jin Biao's heart tightened. This guy was clearly giving the police a chance to catch him. Chang's hands weren't injured by him. These ruthless things were done by Zhao Sanlai. It wasn't the first time that Qin Weiner cooperated with Su-yin. With the cases of Wang Xuanqi and Fan Nanjia, she wasn't surprised that Su-yin caught such a big hoodlum for her. She calmly said, Okay, I owe you one. Tell me what you want to eat later. The police had wanted to catch Jin Biao for a long time, but Jin Biao was too cunning. When he did things, he had underlings to cover for him. They didn't have a chance to detain and interrogate him. Now was a good opportunity. Only with evidence could they have a chance to interrogate him. A few days ago, the shooting in Jingxian District's Letian Entertainment City had been suspected to be related to him. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.